Hello, everybody. Welcome into my latest live broadcast. The opportunity availed itself, and so here we are. Last minute, unscheduled video, but we are live, unscripted, unrehearsed. As always, it's a fly by the seat of your pants interaction, the same as you have in real life with people you know. You read your lines, I'll read my lines. Let's hang out. Today, I thought I would share with you due to the response I'm getting from people with questions about their device manager and about Windows reinstallations, I thought I would try and summarize all of this and give a live example, which will take a while, on how you reset any computer. It doesn't matter if it's one of those computers you've built yourself, if it's a pre-built computer from Dell or anybody else for that matter, if it's a mini PC, if it's a laptop, it's always the same, always. When we're, for whatever reason, when we want to reinstall Windows 11, we do it exactly the same across all these different platforms. The only thing that changes is the location of where we acquire our drivers. So by default, if we're building our own computer, we go to the motherboard manufacturer and we get our drivers from there. If we have a pre-built computer, we get our drivers from the pre-built manufacturer, not of the motherboard. If we're doing a laptop, we get our drivers from the laptop manufacturer. When we get a mini PC, we get our drivers from the mini PC manufacturer. Now, if you have a mini PC that you purchased from some sketchy website and they, let's say this company has no website, what are you going to do? The good news is those sketchy, I'm going to just call them sketchy companies, they don't make their own computers. Somebody else is making them and they're just putting their label on it. That's all it is. So all you have to do is Google, in the case of a mobile chip such as a mini PC uses, Google that chip and then look through the search results to find the identical model. In other words, you should see the exact same shape and color made by a better known company and go use their drivers. It's just that easy. Now that's just the basics. There's lots of other ways to do this, but that is by far and away the most universal simplified answer that applies to everyone at all cases going back for years. That's how we've been doing this for years. Somehow, some way, people are getting it in their head that it's different because the mini PC is not a desktop. It's the same exact thing. Remember, with a desktop, we're focused on the motherboard manufacturer only. So if you've built your own desktop and you bought an MSI or a Gigabyte or ASRock or Asus motherboard, you go back to them to get your drivers. You have to. If you bought a laptop or something made by one of the big system integrators like Dell, HP, Acer, even Asus, then you go to their website and you download the drivers for that specific model of computer, not the specific model of motherboard. And the same is the true for the mini PC. So I thought we could do a live example of this today by letting you guys tell me what mini PC that I have reviewed in the past that you'd like me to wipe and reinstall. So if you go back 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, look at my video library and you see a mini PC there, and if I still have it here, and I have most of them, I'll go get it off the shelf, we'll put it on the table, we'll wipe it completely clean, starting with nothing, and we'll put Windows and drivers back on it. It's just that easy. Also, if your computer's in really good shape right now, you really like how it's running, but you've never made a backup, go get your free copy of Acronis. It's free for 15 or 30 days, I can't remember. Make your system image backup. You never have to buy Acronis. Then, after your trial expires, you'll never be able to back up unless you pay. But your backup you previously made in trial is good indefinitely. Obviously, it won't contain any changes you may have made since you made the backup, but hey, that's still better than starting with nothing. Acronis will always let you do your restore for free, always. So you could just go grab Acronis, make a rescue disk with it, and restore your backup you made months earlier, putting your Windows 11 or 10, whatever you have, and your drivers and your activations and all that goes all back on, and it does it in about 10 minutes. So even if it's a lot more data than that, it's still a fraction of the amount of time it takes you to redo everything by hand that I'll show you today. So again, there are a lot of different ways that you can accomplish this. If you know you're going to reset the computer, you can back up your own drivers that are in there now, and I've shown people how to do that. We'll put a link to that video. It's free. No third-party software is ever used. We use our hands, we use our brain, and we use the tools available from the manufacturers and Microsoft. That's it. No third-party utilities unless you want to back the machine up. I like using Acronis to make a system image because it keeps life simple. If you don't have the drivers for your machine now, you're just going to wait until it happens and then you'll figure out what to do. Go for it. You enjoy that stress and anxiety. If your system's running really good now and you don't have a copy of the drivers, I strongly advise you, if you've not made a system image backup and you've not made a copy of the drivers and you just live like you're going to be dead tomorrow, so what do you care? I have no advice for you, man. I guess you're just going to you're going to cross that bridge when you get to it. Yeah, that's your choice. But you could take a minute, couple minutes. You could back up the drivers that are on the system now, copy them to a flash drive, stick it in a drawer, and remember you've got it just in case you need it someday. Or don't. It's free. There's no third-party utility software you need. We're just using our hands and our brain and the utilities made available by Microsoft and the system manufacturers. That's all you need. Third parties want to convince you you need theirs. That's what salesmen do. They like to sell you stuff you don't need. I bet you I could go through my inventory and get rid of half of it because I don't need it. I was convinced I needed it and I bought it. I fall victim to it as well. So just to prove a point, let's do it live. Hello, everybody joining us. I see Mark Gaines and Dazzle555 and Rick Lakes and John Paul Bacon saying hello. There's Picard joining us and Gary Tatum, Doman 2000 and William Denton saying hello. Peter Retired says hello. Martin Postema joining us. Thomas Mac T. Gil Garcia and Claudia Ventura say hello. All right, so I'm looking in the chat and I'm testing my regular viewers right now to think of a mini PC that we've reviewed a while back. And then I will reset it completely unprepared, right? No backup, no putting away the drivers just in case. We're going to pick a completely worst case reactive scenario that we could have avoided by planning for it. And we're going to show you that even if you don't plan for it, it takes a little bit longer and it might be a little bit more nervous, anxiety, but it'll all be fine. It's just doing it the hard way. Well, getting any third-party utilities or trying to find some shortcut to this is doing it the hard way. Slow and steady is going to win this race by always doing it the same for every computer and making no exceptions because it's a mini PC or a laptop or you built it yourself or it's pre-built. Doesn't matter. You do it the same and you'll never be stumped. Never. Always do it the same. And you will have consistent results every single time. Claudio says, do the Morfine M8S. That's a good choice, the Morfine M8S. Did we give that one out? You know what? Let me grab my glasses. I'm still waiting for other suggestions. I may not have that Morfine because I don't recall. It's been a while since I've seen it, but that doesn't mean it's not here. Let me go step off camera to the shelving unit, and let's see if that's over there. Morfine M8S. In the meantime, while I'm walking away, let's see, where did I put the shelving unit? that's not a good start. I'm not going to find the mini PC if I don't find the shelf it's on. Okay, here it is. It's over here. Whoops. That'll be fine. All right, I'll clear a little walk path here. Morfine. Let's see. Morfine. What is this? No. Nope. What are these? Nope, nope, nope. And what are these back here? Something in white boxes that aren't labeled. Oh, an SZ box. Okay, I remember that one. I think we gave out the Morphine. Something about that. Those are recent ones I did. Where else would I have put it? If I had it, where would I? I figured since I have most of them, asking that question would be safe, that the odds that you would just randomly pick one that we gave out, that wasn't likely, but yet, here we are. I have another stack. Where did I move? Oh, over here. Okay. Ecom, V-Link, AceMagic, Minisform. I don't think I have a single Morphine system here. I think every one of those got given out. Because I think we had 2 or 3 different models, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't see a single one of them. So, try again. Another suggestion. I'm just checking any other shelves just to make sure I'm not overlooking it anywhere. Those are the Adaman machines. Riatan, Paladin, everything but Morphine. Yeah, I don't think we've got it anymore, unfortunately. Let's try again. Let's see. Let me come back over here and take a look at the chat room. The A1M. What's the A1M? I need a manufacturer. What about the, so Mark Gain says, what about the AceMagician AMR5? AMR5. That one sounds familiar. Let's go take a look. AceMagician AMR5. Let's see, what do we have here? See some AceMagician boxes. AMR5. It's the S1, the F2A. What is this? AD08. It's not those. What is this one? Nope, it's not there. What do we say? AM5, what was it called? AMR5. You come over here. R5. Where did it go? I swear. Wait, what's this one? AMR5. All right, I got it. Was the last place I looked. Hold on, it's under a stack of others. So let me just move everything on top of it over here. Okay, there we go. Phew. It's like being down in a mine. Well, I get black lung disease now. Is that the one you were talking about? AVT official says, hello from Bulgaria. I just finished watching an old video of yours, and again, I was impressed by the level of professional and respectfulness to the people in the problem itself. Very inspiring. Well, thank you, AVT. We do our best. And Doug Betts, who was just wrapping up his video today. I was hanging out in his video. He says, if I knew you had a show today, I could have redirected. I'm catching up in DVR mode. Always good to see our friend Doug hanging out, popping in and saying hello. I didn't want to tell him in his chat because I felt like it lacks any class. Like, hey, I'm going to go live in 20 minutes. I don't want to rush him out or make him feel like I'm trying to steal his audience. So I just kept it to myself. And, you know, I didn't know. I figured he was going to wrap it up about the time I started, but I certainly wasn't going to allude. I can't see a way of doing that where it wouldn't have come off like I'm more important than you. So I just kept my mouth shut about it. That's why. Fred May says hello from Canton, Michigan. Oh yeah, I love me some Canton, Michigan. No sarcasm. It's I don't think Canton existed in the 1970s when I lived there, but now it's a beautiful little city and not too far from where I grew up in Oak Park, but a much newer community. All the houses are more modern and just, yeah, although I like the western side of Michigan personally, like Grand Rapids and such, Canton, I'll tell you what, I'd happily live there if I wanted to be in the Detroit area. Kinda. Gary says, how about the Riatin Silver 9? Didn't we just do that one though? I was hoping we would go back a little bit further because we had the Silver 9 and the Alloy 9. Phil Stodd said, I usually check one more place after I find something. That way it was not in the last place I looked. Yeah. Well, you showed yourself, didn't you? All right. So let's say, for example, and this has been off for a while. I've got my specs on here. This is an AMD Ryzen 5. It's got 32 gigs of RAM. Wow. A 2 terabyte Samsung 970. Clearly, I've upgraded this. And Windows 11 Pro. Okay, so you can see this is how I put stuff away. Keep everything together so I don't have to find where's the power supply and where's the cable and where's this and that. AMR 5. Oh my gosh, I've even kept it wrapped in the plastic. Wow, I must have been feeling extra OCD that day. You know what? I don't think we need this anymore. Feeling a little less OCD today. So we don't need to put it back in a bag. That's ridiculous. Okay, so those of you who don't remember the AMR 5, doesn't one of these sides pull off? Yeah, and then that gets you to your... That's why I upgraded the RAM and storage, because it was just that easy to get to it. No screws or anything. It's just hooks and magnet. It just goes down in there. And the magnet grabs it and pulls it up tight. So once you find the little slots the hooks go in, where are they? They're basically up about that high. You see the bottom of this? When it finds the hole, it'll sink in, which is right about, yeah. Not that high after all. Just the little holes right there. Okay. Nothing wrong with this. We can boot this up right now. We can just extract our drivers off of it, put it on a flash drive, reinstall Windows, and then reload the drivers with one click. It's that easy. However, I want to show you doing it one of the more difficult ways, which is you thought this day was never going to come. You never found the time to prepare for it because you thought it wouldn't be important and you thought you'd never need it. Then the unexpected thing happened, and because you weren't prepared for that, you have to start with nothing. Okay, well, first of all, if you don't, you should always have a Windows 11 installer USB drive. You make this for free. We have a video showing you how to make this. If you use, and it's a choice, but if you use Rufus to make this installer, you don't have to get caught up in all the nonsense online about, oh, here's how you bypass the login. Oh, Microsoft is going to change it. But have they changed it yet? Well, no, they haven't changed it yet. But when they do change it, here's how you can get around it. Okay, so in the future, when something that hasn't happened yet is going to happen, I'm going to be ready for it. I like the way you think, so you must already have your drivers? Oh, no, I don't. No, I didn't back up my drivers. So you're ready for something that may not happen. You don't know when it's going to happen, but the thing that is likely going to happen, that's going to require your drivers, that you're not prepared for. The thing you can do today, that's available to you right now, you haven't done. But the thing you're reading about online, about some future thing Microsoft's going to release at some future time, that breaks something that works right now, and there's a workaround for that, you're on top of that and you're ready. Okay. The world's a crazy place. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just observing and commenting my opinion. You do what you do, and I'll do what I do. So regardless of the changes that Microsoft makes, by making it my installer with Rufus, none of that stuff affects me. So just keep that in mind. All right, now we've got our power cable here. I've got an HDMI cable, and we've got our power brick. All right, kind of hit my forehead with my ring. Did I leave a mark? I bang my head against the wall all the time. That's how lessons really stick with me. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're not even going to boot this into Windows. All right, we're gonna say you didn't prepare, you didn't back up your drivers while you had the chance. I don't know the scenario. Maybe you're helping a friend. Maybe you bought something online used and you're gonna fix it yourself, and you don't know how to fix it yourself, and now you need my help, and it's like, well, then why did you buy it? Never mind, going off on tangents. All right, I need a little laptop power plug here that we have right here. Hey, there's our friend Buster in the chat, joining us from Edinburgh. Edinburgh. He says, hello, Carrie and Marlena and everyone in the chat. All the best from Body, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh is 53 degrees Fahrenheit or 11.6 Celsius. I just popped in to say hello. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Well, thank you, Buster. Thanks for saying hello. Thanks for the super chat. We saw, Maura and I watched a video on a guy spent some time in Edinburgh. He was very, very clear about how to pronounce it. And he said, you know, if you're coming out here, he goes, my friends advised me to spend most time in London. And then, oh, while you're there, you know, check out Edinburgh. He goes, now that we're at Edinburgh, I've got to tell you, I think it should have been the other way around. He goes, we could easily spend 10 days, 2 weeks here and just visit London for a day or two. He's like, this is way more our speed. You don't need a car. You can walk everywhere. Bring good, comfortable walking shoes. They talk about the amazing cheese shop that's, you know, one of them anyway. And they got some cheese, a little charcuterie board. They went walking up onto this hill. They had their little lunch. They said it was the best meal they had. He mentioned there are restaurants there that if you really want to eat at them, you have to make reservations way in advance. And he's like, yeah, don't think you're just going to walk into some of those really nice places. They got a waiting list. There was an ice cream shop. There was a line down the street. He's like, this place is really popular because the ice cream's really good. Long story short, yeah, Maura and I are ready to go. And you mentioned 53 degrees. It's, what, 100 degrees today? It's going to be here in Phoenix. Oh, man, I am itching to go. Windows 11 installation media. You can buy an 8 gig USB flash drive for $2.99. Like on Amazon, you get a 10-pack for $29.99. That's $2.99 a piece. Doesn't have to be great. Just make sure it's 8 gigs or bigger, preferably 8 gigs, because you'll spend less. And you know what? If you get 10 of them for $29.99, you shouldn't be needing any flash drives for a while. Use them for BIOS updates, use them for making a memtest boot disk, use them for making an Acronis rescue disk, use it for making your Windows installer, use it for backing up your drivers and your documents. You could easily go through 5 or 6 of those if you're like most people. And as you see, I get a little label maker, and I just put a little label that says Windows 11 on it. And over time, that label wears out, and I just print another one. Super easy. Now, I need a keyboard and a mouse, right? And I need to hook up video. So let's move this over here, move this over here. Let's turn this on. We'll just plug this into any USB port back here, just like this. I just want to show you guys how easy this is, how simple it is. The other thing, of course, that I keep going on and on about is about stop using SATA drives. I mean, if you're going to use a SATA drive, put it external. Your SATA SSD isn't going to run more than 550 megabytes per second. USB 3, just generic USB 3 is 5 gigs per second. That's 500 megabytes a second. If you've got 3.1, 3.2, etc., it's only getting, 10, 20. And then you get to USB 4, 40 gigabits per second, which is 4,000 megabytes per second. Mechanical hard drive will transfer data at about 200 megabytes per second. So plugging it into an external dock through USB, it's running exactly the same speed without containing all the heat and putting all your eggs in one basket, where if something happens to your computer, not that this one could have a mechanical drive, but the fact is, even SATA drives, basic SATA 3 tops out at 6 gigs, and USB 3 starts at 5 gigs. So while there's a little performance drop in a worst case scenario that you have an old USB 3, the difference is so minimal, and you get that heat out of the inside of your computer, and you don't lose any performance. And if something happens to the computer, everything you've got on that drive, you just plug it into another computer if it's something you need. You don't have to extract it first. So I think the days of installing big mechanical drives or even anything SATA into a computer are behind us, and good riddance. If I was going to have a mechanical drive because I need some big storage locally in the machine, I'd buy one big one and be done with it. Whatever you define as big, 4 terabytes, 8 terabytes, 24 terabytes, whatever it takes. Because the more drives you add, the more power you're consuming, and the more likely you're going to have a drive go bad. If you have one drive, you only have one drive that can fail. If you have 16 drives, your odds of a failure are 16 times greater and 16 times more often. So would I rather have 16 1 terabyte drives with all the cabling and power cables and power draw, or one 16 terabyte drive? I'm just saying, something to think about. Now, this is completely live and unscripted. You guys have picked the mini computer. I haven't turned it on yet. I haven't done anything with it. We're going to assume, no, let's not assume. Let's just take the drive out of it so you know that we're starting with nothing. Since it's so easy to open, this just occurred to me. Why reinvent the wheel, or why try to convince you of anything? Let's just take this drive out, and we'll set it right over there, okay? Let me go back over to the shelf. Let me grab, where's my glasses? Let me just go find, I've got some NVMe's around here that are just blank NVMe. And then when I put that in, I'll show you that the machine doesn't boot, that the drive is completely blank, and we're starting with nothing. So what can I use here? What is this? We have a 2 terabyte Intel. We have, what is this? We have an old generic Samsung. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to find something simple. You know what? I haven't used this in a while. This is my old XPG from AData that was used in a build, and then it was upgraded for some reason, and then it sat on my shelf. So let's grab this one here that I just randomly pulled out of a stack. This should already be formatted and ready to go. We have 2 M.2 slots in this bad boy here. I really should be unplugging this when I do this. We'll plug that in. Turn this on, turn that there. Okay, So brand new drive, nothing's on it. Now let's see what happens if we try and boot this up. And oh, I need an HDMI cable. No internet, no printers, no flash drives, just the keyboard, the mouse, the video, and the power. Nothing more. Okay. Turn that on. There we go. Starting to fire up. Let's switch over to camera 2. We'll give that a second. And that should, yeah, just takes us right into the BIOS. There's nothing for it to boot from. The NVMe drive I've just placed in this unit is completely like fresh out of the box. I reset the drive, as I've got a video that shows you how to reset your drives. Okay, it's not a secure erase. It's an erase a computer shop would use because we have things to do, and we're going to write over it anyway, which defeats any point in secure erasing because we're going to write over the data that's there. So, you know, we've got stacks and stacks and stacks of drives here, and we're not going to sit there and run a secure erase on them unless we're paid to do that. So that drive is effectively just like a brand new out of the box drive. And this computer, let's just say we got it off eBay without a drive in it. Okay, so now what do? We're going to use our Windows 11 installation media. You should have one of these. It's free. It's completely free. And how you want to make it's up to you. I just use Rufus and tell it, check the one box. The 2 boxes that I check are not to enable drive encryption by default and not to require an online account. That's it. Rufus takes care of the rest, and when 25H2 comes out, Rufus will still do the same thing. So you don't have to get caught up in all these articles and panic and have all the fix ready for something that you're not even affected by. And nobody is affected by it, by the way, unless you're a beta tester, if you're a Windows insider. But that's what you signed up for, to be an insider. That's what you asked for. For the rest of us, we'll wait till this product is finished cooking and then see what gets served. Then we will react to anything that we still need to react to. But having made my media with Rufus, I mean, I had to make it some way. Regardless, it won't affect me with regards to the online account. It's just, I don't need to get caught up in all that drama and nonsense. Well, we do it this way today, we do it that way, or you could do it this way, or you could just do it this one way and do it ever since Windows 11 came out. It hasn't changed. All right, so I'm going to pick any USB port here and just plug this guy in. And I'm going to hold the power button in until it shuts off. This is also easy. It can take a little while, okay, but it's still easy. Now that it's off, we'll turn it back on. Since it has nothing to boot to except that flash drive, I should not need to indicate to the BIOS what I want it to boot to. The BIOS has no choice. If it's going to boot, it's going to say, well, I'm going to try and boot to the network, no network cable. I'm going to try and boot to the NVMe drive, no NVMe operating, no format or operating system on the NVMe. I'll try and boot to the USB. Oh, that boots. Look at there. Every single system, especially if you've left the BIOS alone. Now, if you've gone in there and monkeyed with it, put it back the way it was if you want to follow these steps exactly. I cannot predict the bizarre settings changes people make under the illusions they make them under, because in my line of work, I cannot afford to risk my customers' reliability, performance, or security because I thought I could outsmart the default values set by the engineers. You might be able to outsmart it for a little while, but there's usually a price to be paid, and you won't find out until it happens. So I try to do everything by the book so I am not caught with my pants down, okay? And let me get rid of camera 1 here real quick so we can see the whole screen. Now, it doesn't matter if I've built this computer with a regular motherboard from MSI, Gigabyte, ASRock, Asus, etc. It doesn't matter if it's a laptop. It doesn't matter. It's always the same. Now, I don't recall if, yeah, this had Windows 11 Pro on it, is what I wrote on my notes. It's important to know what version of Windows that you're replacing, unless you want to buy another license key, which, you know, hey, you could do that if you want to. But if you make sure you put the same Windows version on it you won't have to pay for another license key. If it already was activated once, you won't have to activate it again. On the other hand, if it's a pre-built machine, it may have the license code in the BIOS, in which case it won't even ask you during this process what version of Windows you want. So if your machine, hold on, let me go back. I'll tell you what, let me start this first and I'll just talk while I'm doing it. If your machine came with Windows 11 Home and you decided that you wanted Windows 11 Pro because you got swept up in this idealism that somehow Windows 11 Pro is better for you, so you went through the time, the money, and the effort just so you could see the words Home changed to the word Pro, I mean, okay. But what that means is if you go to put Windows back on, the license code, if it's embedded in the computer, will return it back to Windows 11 Home. And you'll have to do this whole process again. Or if you're smart, don't put Windows 11 Pro on it. It's a waste of your money, in my opinion. It's a waste of time, waste of money. This is not Windows XP. The differences between Home and Pro really only affect pros and not anybody at home. There's no reason I can think of anybody at home would benefit from having Windows 11 Pro unless they're hobbyists and they're just looking to toy around with something. And, you know, so be it. It's their money. But yes, if the code is embedded for Windows 11 Home, it's going to reinstall this when we get to the install point. It won't even ask us what version of Windows. Now, we know the code's not embedded because we wouldn't even get this question if it were. It would just immediately skip over product key question. And because it knew the product key, it would then skip over what version of Windows we want. I didn't finish my previous thought. If you think, let me just address something real quick. If you think Carrie's a closed-minded jerk for telling me I can't waste my money on something I absolutely don't need for the psychological benefit of seeing the word Pro, because I'm a home user who doesn't log into a domain, I don't use BitLocker, nor do I want to, and I don't use virtual machines. So what's the point? What if I just wanted it, Carrie? How about that? What if I had no reason at all? Well, then back your machine up after you installed, after you did all that work to go from 11 from Home to Pro. Make an image backup when you're done, and you'll never have to do any of this. You just restore your image. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyway, that's just an elective, voluntary decision that just I can't wrap my logical mind around. It's just a fixation on an idea, and I'm not about idealism. I need to see practicality. I need to have a reason that justifies my time. If I didn't feel this video wasn't important to make, if I just had nothing else to do, I probably wouldn't be doing this. Okay, so there's a purpose behind my actions that I hope is worth my time. Now, getting back to this, if we select, we don't have a product key right down here, then it's going to ask us what version of Windows we want, since the product key determines that. Well, I already know I had Windows 11 Pro on this before. So as long as I select Windows 11 Pro again, nothing else, none of these other ones are going to self-activate. If I put the exact same operating system that I activate on this computer back on this computer, it will automatically reassign the product code to it and automatically activate it in the background once we're all booted up to the desktop and we connect online. It doesn't even tell you it's happening. It just happens automatically without your knowledge. Your product key is reassigned because it knows the motherboard serial number when you activated it. Microsoft servers store that information. You do not need a Microsoft account for this. This works universally across Windows 10 and 11, Home or Pro. But if you had a license code for Home that you had upgraded to Pro, you'd likely have to make a custom installer if your product key is embedded in the BIOS. Otherwise, it's just going to default to Windows 11 Home. And you can bypass that, but now we're getting into more advanced stuff here that's all self-created and all avoidable. Anyway, so Windows 11 Pro, and we'll hit next. And then it's going to, offer us a license agreement. We say okay. And then it's going to look for where it can install. It should find that NVMe drive we put in there, that ADATA XPG. Yeah, disk 0 completely wiped. All right, that's a 2 terabyte drive. I don't have to nuke it. It's essentially like taking a drive brand new out of the box. If this drive were used, I'd be deleting all of the disk 0 partitions. See how disk 1 has all these partitions? I'd remove them all until I was just left with this unallocated space for the total size of, in this case, the Windows 11 install flash drive. So I want to install right here, disk 0. There are no partitions on it. It is all unallocated space. We only have one disk 0. If we have more than one, that means we have partitions to erase. Hit next. It's going to give us a summary of what we're about to do. This is a Windows ISO file. There's been no modification to it other than recording the Windows ISO file that we downloaded from Windows, making the USB stick with Rufus instead of with Microsoft. That's the only change, so that I can make those little modifications to the turning off the encryption by default and turning off the Windows Online account by default. Now it installs no differently than if we just put together a system. Like I've prepped a motherboard. What do I do when I prep a motherboard and I got the RAM and the CPU and the cooler and the power supply all hooked up? I do exactly this. Nothing is any different. It is exactly the same. All right, so now we have to wait. I'm going to put camera 1 back on here, and let's take a look what you guys are saying in the chat. Scott Loosemore says hello here in the chat. Slingshot Hey Guy says hello. Ghostly Lurker joining us. Welcome, welcome. John Struther says hello from Nova Scotia in Canada. Right on. Let's see. Skipping anybody? Davis Parsons says hello. Good to see you, Davis. This process isn't too terrible. When we're done, we're going to need drivers. So where are we going to get those drivers from? We're going to get the drivers. Where did I say? Let me see if you're paying attention. Where am I getting the drivers from? Wait in the chat room. You didn't know there was going to be a test, did you? Hope you brought a pencil. Joseph Guernsey is now a member for 32 months. Right on. Thank you, Joseph. Oh, sorry, Josiah. Thank you, Josiah. Chris Garrett joins us and says hello. Where am I going to get the drivers once Windows finishes installing? Because I didn't back them up. I don't have them. What am I going to do? I won't be using any third-party software. I won't be using any third-party tools. Scott says manufacturer website. John Williams says you could pull them off the original NVMe. You're cheating, John. Let's pretend we don't have the original NVMe drive. But yes, we could pull them off the original NVMe drive in this scenario. I'm trying to emulate that you don't have that, so that's why I removed it. Yes, William Denton says manufacturer's website. John Paul Bacon says manufacturer. Fred Mays, you could restore your drivers from the backup. I'm painting a worst case scenario that you thought you were never going to need these drivers, so you couldn't be bothered to back them up. Or you've got a machine from a friend, or you bought something from some online marketplace that didn't come with a drive. So you're going to put your own drive in it, and you're going to have to reinstall your OS. That's the picture I'm painting. That's the scenario. Gary Tatum says manufacturer's website. Okay, so who's the manufacturer of this mini PC? Wow, there's a long delay between when I talk and when you guys hear me, because it's, I guess because we're broadcasting in 4K live, there's a longer processing time for the audio and video to go out. I'll just wait. Mark Gaines says from the Ace Magician website. Bill Stodd says Ace Magician. Okay. How do we find that? So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to jump over, well, this is installing. I'm going to open a new tab here on the streamer so we can do two things at the same time. And I'm going to, oh, you know what? Hold on, it's already ready for me to, let's do this real quick here. United States, yes. US keyboard, no secondary keyboard. I don't have internet. Username, we'll put in the username of user. Enter, enter. I leave location settings on, but I turn everything else off. But you can always change this around after the install. It's not permanent. I mean, it's not irreversible. You can reverse these or change them. But that's how I set it up for my customers anyway. And finally, it's just going to get the desktop ready. So if that's the case, we may just be able to just go online on this machine and do everything through this computer. So maybe that's what I'll do. So we'll assume you don't have the second machine. Why can't Windows find the drivers? Well, the drivers need to be supplied to Microsoft, and Microsoft charges a fee for that. So the less expensive the computer is, the less profit there is in it. They likely can't afford to go through the process. Microsoft won't just accept drivers and just put it on their website. That could destroy corporations and reliability and hurt them in the media, in the press, and their stock price. For that reason, if Microsoft is going to associate themselves with a third-party manufacturer driver, there must be a contract in place that permits Microsoft to authorize what is allowed on their Windows Update site, and that the manufacturer will accommodate any changes the Microsoft engineers say must be done to meet the requirements to be offered through the Microsoft website. And that costs a lot of money for all the testing and verification. And as many times as that needs to be repeated until it passes Windows Hardware Quality Lab, WHQL testing, so that Microsoft can confidently release it without a bunch of people going online going, Microsoft just broke my computer. Windows Update just broke my computer. My printer doesn't work yet. That, in order to minimize that happening, Microsoft must fully control what's being put out through Windows Update, and they have to inspect everything and test it thoroughly, and they don't do that for free. Now, eventually and over time, many drivers will start to appear in Windows Update, but the newer the computer is, the less likely that it's gone through this whole evaluation process and may never be submitted to Microsoft. And even if it is submitted, they get in line. It's not like they got nothing else better to do. But on Tuesday, AceMagic says, here's $10,000 or whatever the cost is to test our drivers for this one particular computer. Even though we have a series of 50 different models, you have to do each one separately. You have to wait in line for your turn. The testing has to take place. If there's an issue, you need your programmers to address it. You resubmit it again back to the engineers. They will then retest it. And if everything goes good, it'll be added to Windows Update. So if you want to sit and wait for that day, if you want to take your responsibilities and put them onto Microsoft, and you trust that that's going to happen and it's going to happen correctly, I'm not going to tell you not to. But if you want to get it done today and you want to get it done right and you want to do it right now, you have to do it yourself. Now, some drivers will come in automatically through Windows Update or through Windows. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have any video on the screen. Just having the video on the screen requires a driver. Without a driver, you got no video. So just because you're not getting all the drivers, that's why. Think about every computer manufacturer on the planet, all providing their drivers to Microsoft. Wouldn't that be a great world? If you want to live in that world, it's called Apple. So if you buy Mac products, only Apple releases the Mac stuff. They only authorize Mac software. They only authorize Mac hardware, and they have no competitors. They charge whatever they want to charge, and everybody gets the same thing. You have no, the amount of choice you have on Mac is very limited. The price is very high, and they take care of this for you. So you don't have to worry your pretty little head and do any actual work. You just pay them. But they don't do that for free. That's built into the price of that product. And if that's appealing to you and you can afford it, you should not be using Microsoft products. Different. There's one is not better than the other. It's just about your expectations. If you insist that people have to do things for you, Apple is more of your line of work. If you're more of a control person, you want to know what's going on and make sure it's being done right, the Microsoft platform is much more open. And even more open than that would be Linux, if you really want to get down and dirty. Now, we've come up to the desktop here, right? Let's take a look at the status of our current just default driver. It's going to be different on every machine, okay? Depending on how they spec'd it out, you might have some machines where all the drivers come in, especially if it's a big system integrator that makes billions of dollars like Dell or HP. They're just two examples off the top of my head. They're working tightly with Microsoft, and there's a big contractual money exchange that's 7 figures and bigger every year. So Dell and HP are likely going to be on the Windows Update servers, right? Because this is all routine for them. They know what Microsoft wants. The testing is pretty routine. They still have to be auditioned before they're allowed on stage. But the process is far smoother because there's not much difference from model to model. And the people working on those drivers and requirements are familiar with what Microsoft wants by now because they do it every day, all the time. So you could also buy a big name brand computer, although that doesn't guarantee you'll get all your drivers automatically. Those big manufacturers have their own reinstallation recovery partition on the drive to begin with, and you can usually download from their site the whole routine, but again, it takes the control away from you. So if Dell or HP have modified that installer, too bad. But then you don't have to do the work. Pick your path. You got to choose one side or the other. You cannot have both sides at the same time. Somebody said, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I was like, well, what's the point of having the cake if you can't eat it? I don't know. Anyway, squirrel. We're at the desktop. Let me get rid of camera 1 for a second, and I'm going to show you what I do. Let's close this out, and let's go full screen. And you'll see we're not connected to the internet here because all of these silhouettes exist. And down here it says that there's no internet. That's why I have not plugged in my internet connection or connected to Wi-Fi, regardless of driver status. Regardless. So I don't even know if I have the driver. Let's take a look if it installed by right-clicking on the Start menu and go to the Device Manager, and let's get a gander. It looks like we're missing a chipset driver, and this is AMD, so it'll be the AMD Adrenalin we have to download. I don't know what this is. It's probably part of the AMD Adrenalin. Then we have a network controller and a multimedia controller. So the first thing I need to do is get online. And this has Wi-Fi and it has regular wired LAN. And I'm assuming that network controller is the LAN controller. Let me just take a look here. Let me go back to full screen. Let's go right here. And let's just go to this little globe down here and hover over it. Okay, so clearly the Wi-Fi is not there because I'm not getting a list or a Wi-Fi option. So that one of these may be the Wi-Fi network card and the other will be the wired network card. Is there a network card up here under network adapters? Yes. So you see, Microsoft automatically gave us the Realtek built-in LAN controller driver. So all I have to do is plug the network cable into it. So if we come back over, let's go to camera 1 here. And I'll grab my Getting old. Grab my Ethernet cable, and we're going to plug it in to the port, and just give that a second. Watch that globe becomes a flashing exclamation point, and then once it gets a communication with the router with an IP address assigned, it goes solid. We are on the internet now, and the start menu will auto-populate with those silhouettes will now be icons. Okay, so now we're online, but those are with the drivers we got automatically from Windows. We don't need the Windows installer anymore. That goes back in the drawer. For $2.99, throw it in a drawer. Or freak out and make it take longer because you have to remake it. Regardless, so now to get the drivers, we're going to go to the manufacturer's website. So let me turn off camera one so we get the full screen. I want you to see how I do this. Do you think I know where the manufacturer's website is for this model off the top of my head? So we're going to close all this out, and we're going to open the browser. And I'm not changing anything right now, right? This is just basic 101 stuff that is universal amongst any computer I am reinstalling the operating system on. Once again, if I built it myself, if it's a laptop, if it's a mini PC, if it's even a Dell or an HP that has their own optional reinstall, I prefer to do it my way, and I always do it the same regardless of the manufacturer or type of PC. As long as it's a Windows computer, this process always applies. Now, we're going to type up here. I prefer to go to Google, so let's just go to Google, and we have an AceMagic AMR5, and we want the driver download. And I want to get this out of my face. Let's get rid of that. I don't think we really need to specify Windows 10 or 11. Now you can, but AceMagic.com, drivers and downloads. That sounds pretty good. By the way, there's a manufacturer you'll see all the time on AliExpress called Chatri. Isn't it weird that Chatri has the same exact models as AceMagic? I wonder where I could get the drivers for a Chatri computer. The screen blanking out indicates that in the background we're getting Windows updates versus the Windows installer, and those Windows updates have now just found our video driver and put us into 4K. See how the font got smaller? That's happening in the background whether I like it or not, including activation. It's going to happen automatically. Did it happen yet? Let me minimize this for a second so I could get to a, oh my gosh, that resolution. So there's the drivers that come on the Windows 11 installer, and then there are the updated drivers you get from Windows Update, and then there are the leftover drivers that you'll get from the manufacturer. So long as you can get online, there's no harm in going to Windows Update, and for all we know, it could give you all the drivers right there. Regardless, we're still going to want to grab that AMD Adrenalin software separately. Now, display settings, let's go 1920 by 1080 so my old eyes can actually read what it says without getting a magnifying glass. And let's go to right-click on the Start button. We'll go to System, and we're going to check our activation status, okay? Just may not have happened yet. It might, I don't know. So let's just type in the word activation. If I could spell here, see if Windows is activated. Yes. Our product key has already been reassigned from the Microsoft servers. It recognizes the serial number of the motherboard, and it reactivates all in the background without telling us. It wouldn't have done that if I'd have put Windows 11 Home on it, unless Windows 11 Home was originally what was on it. Okay. I'm exhausting myself. So, back to where we were. AceMagic. AceMagic.com, AceMagic, AceMagician, same company, Chatri, Camrui. All right, drivers and downloads. This is the AMR5, right? Let's see, AMR5 is a little triangle looking thing. Yep, that's it. We'll get rid of these pop-ups. Okay, this is the RGB control software, not the drivers. We are going to want that later. I could grab it now while I'm here, but let's try and stay focused, Carrie. AMR5 drivers, not the RGB software. AMR5 Wi-Fi drivers, they're separate for some reason. Where's all of my regular drivers? So we have the Wi-Fi driver that I just don't know why it's different. They're pointing it over to Google Drive here. And again, a lot of the low budget manufacturers cannot afford their own servers. So they'll use free services like Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive to distribute their software. And then what they do is they just put the links on their own website, which is far less expensive than paying for all the bandwidth. And we'll grab the RGB control software. Now, is the reason we're not getting the drivers because we don't need them? Is in fact only the Wi-Fi driver and the AMD Adrenalin software all we need? Maybe. But here's the other thing. And this occurs with particularly for AceMagic, I don't know many exceptions to this. But if you just go to the next link down, it's taking us to Mini PC Union. This is a website that I believe is owned and operated by AceMagic. And if we click on that, you will find a discussion of all things Mini PC, and in particular, a lot of AceMagic and let me see, how did we get to the oh, I see, because I didn't go to the .com, I went to the actual search result, which took us to the AMR5. So we can search in here for, let's say, AMR5, and they provide all of the operating systems and drivers here at minipcunion.com that a lot of people don't know about. So AMR5, and then I'll just put the word drivers in up here. Let's see. $60 matches. You're gonna make me work for it? System and drivers, that's what I want right here. New driver package, looks like it's missing the Wi-Fi drivers. That's why they let the drivers on. Okay. All right, so we're on what, page 2? Apparently there's a prior conversation. Scroll down. AMR5 drivers. Let's get rid of that. AMR5 drivers. Okay, it can't preview the file because it's not a video. Okay, so we just hit the download. It's going to take us back to Google Drive. 468 megs, that's a lot of drivers. It's a .rar file. We're going to download that, and because it's coming from Google Drive, it's a pretty fast resource. So now we've got apparently the missing Wi-Fi drivers. Now the other question is, was there yet another version of this that they were talking about? Let's scroll down and see if there's a replacement. Because anytime the file's removed, it likely was replaced with a newer version. And there's some helpful tips and videos in here that come from this particular PC manufacturer. That's it. That's the whole thread. I'm good to go. So I'm going to just close all this out. I've got what I need now. I open up the yellow folder and I go to the downloads area. Now remember, we're still downloading Windows updates in the background, whether we like it or not. And that may be installing some of the drivers for us. So it's possible some of our drivers may not install because it's already happened from Windows Update, or Windows Update gets a certain number of errors on some of the things it's installing because we've did it first. So either way, it's got to be one or the other. You don't have to worry about it. Windows 11 handles this all on its own. So this is 22H2 drivers. That's fine. It doesn't change with 23 or 24H2, so that's not that important. Let's extract all. Again, I don't need to install any special software to extract an RAR file on Windows 11 24H2. I did hit extract all, didn't I? Oh, there it goes. And let's just pull these files out. I mean, that's a pretty big file. We're looking at nearly 2 gigs. So it seems like it's more than drivers to me, but we'll see what's in there. Just takes a second. AMR5. Okay, so now you have all this stuff. What do you do with it? Well, we're going to close all this out. We're going to, oh, there's that window I was looking for there. I'm going to right click on the start button. I'm going to go to the device manager. And if you ask me, what are these things? Oh, we only have 3 in there instead of 4. So I think the multimedia thing was the video driver that installed automatically when we went into 4K mode. And we have a Bluetooth adapter up here. None of this matters. You don't need to worry your pretty little head about what all this stuff means. Just get it done. So we come up here. Now remember, I've talked about these icons up here. In case you haven't caught me talking about this, I'm going to start again and point something out. I right click on the start button, I go to the device manager, and we have how many icons up here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The icon we want isn't there yet. We have to select something in here. As soon as I select something in here, watch this top bar. You ready? Boom. Now this right here is the icon I want. It says add drivers. What drivers? Any drivers. We can come down here and specify if you want to do it the old-fashioned way and take all day and guess which folder you need and go through one at a time. Be my guest. If you'd like to join us in 2025, just hit the Add Drivers button. Add Drivers. Point it to the extracted file, which is in our Downloads directory, not to the RAR file, and click OK. Click Next, and it automatically goes through every single one of those directories and applies what's needed. You don't have to worry about it. It just works. This is universally true for every computer manufacturer, laptop, desktop, mini PC. If you're building it yourself, you're going to go to the motherboard manufacturer's website. And then the motherboard manufacturer's website is going to separate out those drivers so they're not all encoded like this. And they'll say, well, this is the chipset driver and this is the, right? These smaller manufacturers, they don't spend that much time in administrative tasks to get everything labeled correctly. And why? You don't need to. And the result of that is they can charge you less because they didn't invest as much, and now you don't have to spend as much. And furthermore, you don't have to work as hard because this is way easier than picking out the individual drivers from the manufacturer's website of a motherboard that, let's say, a system we're building. This just works for us automatically and universally. No thinking is required. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to worry about if it's right or wrong. The system knows what's compatible and what's not compatible. It rejects what it doesn't need and moves on to the next folder. This is a network adapter, OpenVPN. I'm not sure why this pops up, but I think we're okay with it. I'm going to go ahead and install it. You don't normally even get stuff like that during the install. I'm going to assume that that's how it would come from the factory, given that we got these drivers not from a third party, but directly from the manufacturer, and that Mini PC Union is owned and operated by the manufacturer. Now, there's other ways to install your drivers, but they might vary. You might have to do it one way as an option on one manufacturer, another way as an option on another type of computer. My way, the way I'm showing you, is universal across any Windows-based PC. So you can learn individual manufacturer-specific ways, or you could just learn the universal way that works no matter what. We have to restart for these drivers to take effect, so let's reboot right now. And when we come back, everything should be happy in the device manager. And it doesn't really tell you you need the AMD Adrenalin driver. You just have to know that. If you have an AMD system, I'll put myself back here. If you have an AMD system, you want the AMD Adrenalin driver, period, end of story. If you have an Intel system, you want the Intel chipset driver, period, end of story. They're both the same in that way. So these are things that you will likely have to go out and get. And if you don't, your system's still going to work, but having those drivers for the chipsets installed make it work better. And by better, I mean faster, more reliable, more secure. And I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Let me come back over full screen for me, and let's take a look at our device manager. First and foremost, is everything in there happy now? We have a network controller, oddly enough. Oh, because they said the Wi-Fi driver was missing. Remember? That's got to be the Wi-Fi driver. If that's the case, we go to our downloads folder, and the Wi-Fi driver that apparently was left out is right here. We'll extract it. Now, if there's a setup in here, we'll run it. If it's not a setup, we'll just right back and do the same thing. We're going to get to the same result regardless. So let's just I'm just curious, take a look inside this folder. X64. Okay, so we have a bunch of drivers again. That's fine. So we just do the same thing. We click on the, sorry, not on that. We click on the add driver update. Where's add? Add, right there. And we're going to browse, and we're going to change the directory. Sorry. Where was it? Yeah, that is the right folder. So I'll just click OK and next. And boom, it's already found the drivers, and it's putting them in right now for the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi. It won't do it twice. Well, actually, I guess it would do it twice. Let it go through its process. It certainly seems to be a lot more than a Wi-Fi driver. But that's okay, it won't hurt anything. And I know that because it's coming directly from the manufacturer. If it came from anybody else, I wouldn't be sure. Maybe it's putting viruses or malware on my machine. Maybe it's putting drivers that aren't compatible on the machine that it's mistakenly identified. You're not going to have that happen, usually, when working with the manufacturer directly. And third parties want to charge you money or throw advertising at you. This is all free. There's no strings attached. It's consistent across the board. All right. The only thing that changes is, going to the manufacturer's website to get the driver. It's not like there's one repository for drivers. If there is, it's a third-party repository, and I wouldn't trust it. All right, we're going to check that device manager one more time. So let me come back down, full screen over here. Right-click on the Start button. Device manager, and everything in there should be happy now. And it is. Everything's good. It doesn't indicate we're missing the AMD Adrenalin software, though, does it? Because it's not required. It's only if you want your system to run good. Why would I want that? So I'll just come here and type in AMD Adrenalin and hit enter right here. AMD software. Drivers and support for CPUs and graphics. That's fine. Download Windows. Oh, I got to accept cookies, I guess. Download Windows drivers. That's going to pop up here in the corner. So let me get rid of camera 1 so you can see that it's downloading up there. Any AMD system, laptop, mini PC, something you built yourself, you want to make sure you put this AMD Adrenalin software on. If you're not sure if you've got it, just put it on again. It's free, only takes a minute. Watch. We click yes. Now that that's running the download, I can close the browser. We're done with it. Then the AMD Adrenalin installer is, it was running behind that. So we clear that clutter so we're not confused on where anything went. And it's checking to make sure we have a computer that would benefit, whether it's our Radeon graphics or even AMD chipset related. So we just do the accept and express install, and it goes to work. Watch. It may take up to 10 minutes, depending on your internet connection and the speed of your computer. But if you never did this, you wouldn't know what was missing. But when you do it, and you get accustomed to the speed and responsiveness of the computer, the next time you do it and it feels like it's not as fast or not as responsive, then you'll know the difference. And you'll say, oh, that's what those Adrenalin drivers do. Okay, so it's one of those things that a lot of people don't put on when they're do-it-yourselfers because they don't see anything wrong in the device manager and the computer's not crashing or anything, but it's definitely not running as good as it possibly could. Just because it's not telling you that doesn't mean you did everything right. This just makes it run to the best of its ability, and I assume we all universally agree we want that. Same is true with Intel chipset drivers. Charlie Purdy says hello. Welcome in, Charlie. Mecca Cameron saying hello. Chad says, can we do a raffle giveaway? Raffles are for charities according to US law. There's a lot of difference between sweepstakes, lottery, giveaway, raffle. They all have legal requirements that the average public has no clue. If we were going to give to a charitable cause, we could do a raffle. But I can't do a raffle and then take those profits and go buy myself something. Unless I'm the charity. Let's see what happens here. Just about done. Okay, finished up. Let me go back full screen on this so I can read it. Every time I go back to the chat, I got to make the main screen smaller, so I either see one or the other. Now, I don't have to help AMD improve their products. I can uncheck that or leave it checked. It's up to you. And just hit finish. Now, the great news is once you have the AMD Adrenalin software installed, when you do it, you're going to see down in your system tray, you're going to have an icon down there. That's the AMD logo here. That brings up this. And this is certain optimized settings, which I'm just going to skip for right now. And we've got a version number right up here and a check for updates right there. And the other thing I like to do, because everything's cool here, I just close this, but I want to be reminded of that icon being down here. So I right click on the taskbar, I choose taskbar settings. I turn off the widgets because they drive me crazy. I go to system tray icons. I turn off Microsoft OneDrive, but I turn on my Bluetooth icon so I can see its status. The AMD software host application so I can see its status. The safely eject media, which is to remove USB drives. I don't want to have to hunt for these, and I want to see my Windows security status. I don't want it hidden back here. And the one thing I want to hide is the one thing Microsoft defaults to showing us, which is the OneDrive icon. And of course, we can go into apps and settings, or settings and apps, and remove Microsoft OneDrive if we don't want it. I just leave it alone because, you know, it's probably going to go to a customer at some point and they might want Microsoft OneDrive. Of course, they could always go to the Microsoft store and put it back on again. I don't like this little icon down here on the search bar. These are just little changes I make, references. I start typing search permissions. This brings up this section of the settings. And I just turn this button off right here. And you'll see that little cartoon down here is going to go away forever when I do that. That easy. It's gone. Never to be seen again. If you get all kinds of weird pop-up notifications and stuff down here, just click on this little bell here and just turn these darn notifications. Just clear them. Go to notification settings and just turn them off. Just turn them all off. Nobody needs that. I'm just saying, turn it off. Just because Microsoft defaulted to those settings doesn't mean you have to use those settings. So we have seen in this video, we are now activated. We are running with a brand new, previously completely wiped installation media. We got our drivers from the manufacturer. In this case, we've learned about Mini PC Union. If you want to learn more about Mini PCs, just go to minipcunion.com, but understand the company, whoops, I didn't mean to go to a topic. It cached it from before. Let's get rid of that. minipcunion.com, you can sign up for a free account. Look, they're looking for new product review recruitment. So you could sign up over there and say, I'd like to review your computer. And you see that all of these links up here are the manufacturers that pay for this website. So AceMagic and AceMagic in the US, UK, Denmark. Up here, Camrui, US. Epogi in UK, in Denmark. And Clone in the US. Oh, Cetone. So as you scroll down here, you'll see there are recent topics, discussions. And then there are item specific, like these are all AMD based models. Scroll down, these are Intel Core Ultra models, regular Core i5 models, i7 models, i9 models, and N-series models like the Celeron equivalents. And then further down, the Jasper Lane, the older generation that are not, I don't think these are Windows 11 compliant, if I'm remembering correctly. They get older the further down you go, okay? And then finally, you get to the notebooks or the laptops, right? So you've got the X1 laptop. Oh, there's an N95 laptop. And then something called the Activity Center, the Hub. All this is free for you to access, by the way. You just sign up and create a free account. No differently, we ourselves, completely unrelated, but we have Carrie Holzman, if I could spell my name, .boards.net, and it follows the same format. Okay, same idea. There's no relationship whatsoever here. Forums and messaging systems have been a foundation of the internet, going all the way back to the news groups in Usenet, way back into the 90s. And this is kind of a modern day web extension of that. You can sign up for a free account here. In fact, I hope you do. We're not interested in collecting any data from you because we don't care. We're not interested in monetizing you. We want you to monetize us. Okay, just so you understand our motivation, we want you to know you're welcome to hang out with each other and ourselves, to ask questions outside of the comments section, because comments are for comments. Okay, so under my videos where you see comments, it doesn't say tech support. It doesn't say tell us your life story. That's what you use the forums for. Come on in here and tell us your life story. Come in here and ask for whatever help you're looking for and give other members of the community a chance to respond to you. And instead of it being live, it's just a message board. So you can click on any message in the message board and add to that conversation if you choose, or create your own message. Start your own message thread. Tell us about yourself. What's your interest in computers? What do you enjoy most about my videos? The end. Get to know each other. Let's get to know each other. It's all free. It's paid for by these little ads that really pop up here. Ah, yes, Lululemon. That reminds me, I need to buy a new pair. Don't picture that. All right. So with that, let me jump back over to the chat. You see, this whole video was what? Right off the cuff, unscripted, unrehearsed, and I didn't know half an hour before I started this video that I was even going to make this video. That's how simple restoring a computer is from nothing. And it's only easier if I had an image backup I could restore. It's only easier if I backed up my drivers and just put them on a flash drive. This is a worst case scenario right here. This is, I'm not prepared. Well, in less than 90 minutes, it's done. It's not a big deal. But we could have done it in 45 minutes. I could have done it in under 10 minutes. If I had an Acronis image and it was on a flash drive, I boot to the Acronis rescue, I say restore my image onto a brand new NVMe drive. Under 5 minutes, it'll be done in most cases, 8 minutes. And all this is already done. Even all those little settings changes, already done. Activation, already done. Notifications off, already done. Now, of course, we still have to get Windows updates, but they're happening in the background anyway. But if I had already done that before I made my system image, all those prior installed updates never need to be installed again. Only the new ones that have come out since the backup. Saves a lot of time. Speaking of Windows updates, start. Where's my settings? Behind camera 1? Jerks. I'm the one who put it there. Let's just type in Windows. Could have just done the Windows update there, couldn't I? Let me get rid of camera 1 because I can't see my screen. You know, it's difficult to operate a computer when you can't see the screen. Not impossible, it's just a little more difficult. So let me close this, let me close that, so it's not so much clutter. Start, settings, Windows update down here on the left. Now, if you're looking at your screen, you're like, Carrie, how come I don't have the Windows update on my screen? That's because your screen is open too narrow. Grab an edge of it and drag it out. And then there, it's been there the whole time. We'll check for updates, and in the meantime, I'm going to turn this option on. I'm going to go to Advanced Options. We have 0 optional updates at this point. I like to turn these 3 options on. That's just my personal preference. We'll go back, and yeah, there's not too much happening here. I'm very happy with this. Remember, I did not know before the start of the show what computer, what mini PC you guys were going to select. You guys selected this computer. I did not have any prep. I had no idea this was going to happen, but it doesn't matter so long as you do all computers the same way and you don't do anything through a unique way for a specific maker model. You can if you want to, or you could just choose a universal process that works across the board. Your choice. Okay, questions. This is the time to ask, because at this point we're just waiting on updates, and yeah, everything's done. Let me take a look over at I have to put the RGB software on if I want to control this RGB. That's the last piece. In fact, now that I just thought about it out loud, let's go over here to full screen again, back to our downloads directory. So the RGB software is not a driver, it's a piece of software. So we'll go to our downloads. Where's my RGB software? Right here. Extract all. And there it is. And just double click on that. This comes up because they've, again, AceMagic's not spending the money to get through this process. So Microsoft says, we don't know who this is. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just, you just met somebody. Is the person you met a good person or a bad person? I don't know. But we know AceMagic. Yes, they made a mistake a while back. That they've learned from it. It's not going to happen again unless they want to go out of business. This is not a virus. You feel free to scan it with whatever virus scanner you want. I already did all that stuff, and it's fine. That's the application that you would run to control the RGB on this if you wanted to. Not that there's a lot of RGB on this. And where did it put it? Minimize everything here. I don't think it installs anything. I think you just run the application. Let me check. Where did it go? Double click. Is it down here? No. Is it because I'm installing updates and the machine's just being slow to respond? Administrator, maybe? That's it. We can turn the RGB off completely. Right? You see the RGB on here? I can maybe drag that over so you can see on the desk right here. And I hit on or off. And then there's just a couple options to set it in this mode, set it in this mode. Are you watching? Set it in this mode. It's there's very few choices. I didn't even know why someone would really bother with it. But it's an option for you. You notice all the RGB is off now, except the power button that tells you that it's on. So if the RGB annoys you, there you go. Okay, simple stuff. And let me close that out. Let me bring the Windows Update back up just so I can keep an eye on it. And let me move camera 1 where I could just get out of my own way. That would be great, Carrie. Okay, let me go back over to our chat room and see what's on your mind. Again, this is the time to ask questions. And I'll do what I can to answer. And of course, we have so many very knowledgeable folks and very kind folks in our chat room. Don't ignore their responses because they might get you an answer faster and probably more accurate than my own. Such as our friend Doug Betts hanging out in the chat room. Doug has his own tech channel, Live Windows Training with Doug Betts. It's another very interactive channel where you join into the live chat, and it's not that you're competing with a thousand other people all vying for Doug's attention. So it's a lot more personal and a lot more feeling connected to the content creator and other members in the chat, because it's a smaller, more tight-knit community, and it has lots of room to grow before it reaches a point where it becomes too much, right? Where it's just not possible to acknowledge everybody. And so a lot of people, like when I originally started my channel, they'd say, oh, I like your channel back when nobody knew your channel existed and you weren't successful on YouTube. That's when it was good. Well, thanks, buddy. Appreciate the backhanded compliment. Oh yeah, now there's too many people and I talk in the chat and he doesn't see it, or I mean being ignored, they don't know. And it's not good anymore. Well, is it? That's the difficult part sometimes, is sometimes, you know, becoming more popular, there's a certain part of your audience is going to say, well, I don't like it anymore, because now the personal nature of it is reduced because it's being spread out thinner. But on the other hand, my videos are having a bigger impact as the audience grows, and it gives me the opportunity to help more people. And I do my best. Today's not bad in the chat. The chat's pretty slow today, but if you've been here before, you know we have sometimes chat rooms that it's impossible to keep up with. So if we could go back in time to those earlier days, and my channel wasn't as popular, you'd probably feel connected sooner because there's fewer people. There's a sort of a competitive nature that can occur in a chat room as it gets more and more crowded. So ideally, you find these communities that you align with when they're starting, you know, when they're still budding. And I would describe Doug Betts' channel that way, in that he's only getting bigger, and it'll be at a certain point, and we'll see how things progress, but at a certain point, you're probably going to go, well, Doug Betts is too popular now. I don't like that anymore. Well, then get in now. That's what I'm trying to say. He's got a great audience, he's got a great community, and he's got great content. And he often has a completely different approach from me. But the difference is, Doug and I work in the industry. We're not just enthusiasts. So I very much respect my peers in the industry, and certainly many members of our community that have been with me a long time, and many members of our community that I have verified are also working technicians. There's a different level of what that information means depending on who it's coming from. And for me anyway, if I got some random person telling me how to make videos, I just dismiss it. Who are they? What gives them any authority or experience to tell me how to do it? But if Mr. Beast wants to tell me how to make videos, he has my whole attention as long as he wants it, and I am going to listen very closely to what he has to say. You understand the difference? And so you should also have that difference when you're getting information online. Who's that information coming from? What's motivating it? Is this really a hidden commercial? Is this something that somebody in the industry is just doing on the side to show you how the industry works? Because that's what Doug and myself do. And if you know of others that do that, it's a pretty rare format to find here on YouTube. But do know I'm not the only one. All right, that wants a reboot. There we go. Mark Gain says, the Mac Geek has reviewed this mini PC. Check it out. I think that will answer your... Oh, he's talking to somebody else. Okay. Thought he was talking to me. He was talking to the Mac Geek, telling him I reviewed this mini PC. I'm not confused at all. The reviews are kind of pointless in my view. And I'll tell you why.
whatever you're buying, if it's a mini PC, if it's a router, a Wi-Fi router, if it's a NAS, it's going to do no better than the manufacturer says on the specs. It's that easy. If this says this computer is an AMD Ryzen 5, I don't know what the model is. '56, what is it? '5600U or something. Guess how it runs? It runs exactly like any other Ryzen 5 5600U. It's going to run within a tolerance so negligible that to buy one model over another because of a 1.2% difference in performance is preposterous. Now, yes, some fans may be louder than others, but it depends on your sensitivity, what you consider loud, and what kind of an environment you're operating it in. You might be operating it in a little tiny closet, so every little drop of everything is annoying to you. Or you may not notice it at all. So what a reviewer thinks about the noise level is ridiculous because they're not in your environment. Likewise, how a Wi-Fi router operates depends on your environment and what you're connecting to it. But I can tell you it won't run any faster or any better than it says on the site. So if I go to Amazon and look at a router, a Wi-Fi router, I promise you it's not going to run any better. That is a best case scenario. When I look at the specs on a mini PC, it's going to run exactly the same within a reasonable, negligible margin of any other similarly spec'd mini PC made by anybody. What's the point of the review? The review might give you some reference point of size. The review might demonstrate, how the machine opens, which I don't know why you would need to do that these days, but old habits die hard. The review might identify visually for you, maybe you're more of a visual person, but once again, a reference point to where the ports are, what they look like, in a way that perhaps some of us can't see from just a still photo, because we can hold this up and we can rotate it and we can put something next to it to kind of give it some perspective of reference to size. But with regards to any sort of review of performance or quality or anything, it's under warranty. The best it's going to do is exactly what the manufacturer says. If somebody thinks it's loud, somebody else doesn't think it's loud. And maybe that's because they're less tolerant or more tolerant, or maybe it's because the room they're in is better at sound absorption, or maybe they're in a small echoey room. Maybe they got 6 of them and all 6 together make it loud, but just having one doesn't. But it's exactly what the manufacturer says. Nobody's lying to you. Now, when we do see something that is unusual that we want to bring to your attention, such as a computer being sold with Windows 11 that is not Windows 11 compatible, in that case, you're being lied to you. You're being lied to, but it's not common. You're going to find that typically on manufacturers with lesser known brand names or from third-party sellers that have old inventory that are appearing. They're appearing to be the manufacturer, but it isn't the manufacturer. It's some third party who bought leftover inventory. They forced Windows 11 on it, this old inventory, to add more value to it. Otherwise, they're stuck with it. What are they going to do with it? How are they going to get their money back? So they'll say, this comes with Windows 11. They never said it was Windows 11 compatible. So they're not lying to you, but it's definitely deceiving. So as long as you make sure you buy from Amazon, you have the free 30-day returns. If you're buying from Amazon, if Amazon's a seller or Amazon's the shipper, you have 30 days to return most items at Amazon for no reason at all. You can just return it. Because at the end of the day, the only review that matters is yours. What you think is important, what I think is important, it's not important to anybody else. That's just you. So you're going to have to try it, evaluate it to your value system, and then determine if you like it or not. And I hope you do. It's like you want to learn how to balance on a bicycle, but you're not going to get on the bicycle. You want to learn how to swim, but you won't get in the water. We could talk and talk and talk, and you're just never going to get it until you make the effort. Once you get on the bicycle, you will understand what balance is better than any way of explaining it, And no matter how much you think you're ready for it, it's an experience you have no point of reference for, and you're not ready for it. No matter what anybody tells you, you're not ready. Then you'll have the experience that words cannot convey. And you'll have a deeper understanding, and you'll decide if you like that or not. You're not wrong and you're not right. It's your preference. But I can't tell you your preferences, and nor can anybody else. Most of the reviews you watch are just commercials. Sorry to say, they're mostly just commercials. So if you see something that interests you, and perhaps you're getting something else from the review, like I say, reference to size or an example of how a particular machine opens, for better or for worse, I don't normally even do anything with these. Like the way they ship is fine now. The need for more RAM doesn't really, this isn't the old days anymore. With NVMe drives, memory swap files happen so fast, you almost can't tell the difference between having the RAM or having the swap file. Almost. Depends on the user. Our friend Doug Betts has installed very basic budget B-Link mini PCs for his business clients and replaced computers that were old Windows 10, non-Windows 11 compliant machines, and the clients can't tell the difference in performance. They're not saying it's faster, but they're not saying it's slower. As far as they can tell, it's the same machine as it's always been. Only, you know, he's likely taking up big towers, replacing it with these little mini PCs. Client comes into work, it's already done. Machine fires up, it's responsive. So anyway, that's where we're at. And that's why you see when I do reviews, I'm kind of doing product overviews and introductions. I want you to be aware of this product, whatever it is, not this one necessarily, but anything that I take the time out to say, let me show you this. It's an introduction. Let me have you meet Bob. I'm not selling Bob, and I don't know if you and Bob are going to be friends. I don't care. I just want you to meet Bob, and if something happens, something happens. Okay? But otherwise, you never met him, you never knew he existed. Job one for me is introduction. This is this manufacturer. This is, you know, available. You might not be aware it's available. Step one, make sure you're aware that it exists. Step two is let's go over it. What does it come with? What are the specs? What does it look like? How big is it? How heavy is it? Yada, yada, yada. What's in the box? You get this, you get this, you get this. Is it good? Is it bad? That's for you to decide. Unless something is just bad, but that's so rare, the idea of watching a review that you're going to get a little bit more, essentially the same processor in any machine runs about the same on any machine. The same amount of RAM or the same type of RAM is going to run the same regardless. Any differences are so minor, I can't see how that would be my decision maker. But, you know, you do you, but that's the logic I have. I just realized I did not change the power settings on this little box here, so it went to sleep or set the monitor off, and I want to just make a... No, that's not what I wanted to do because I'm not full screen and I wasn't watching. Okay. Don't want the registry editor. I'm going to go down here, I'm going to type in edit, and then it should say power plan as a suggestion before I finish typing. That's what I want. Yeah. So turn off the display, let's say after 3 hours, and never put the computer to sleep because it doesn't have batteries. If it did have batteries, I'd want it to sleep, but otherwise I don't want it to sleep. While we're waiting, I'm going to take my utilities flash drive out, and I'm going to plug that in up front here, and we're going to copy over, you know, we'll do the whole crystal disk mark thing, and I'll copy over Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer. We'll put VLC, you know, all the standard stuff I always do. So VLC, drag that over. Uncle Carrie's Windows 10 optimizer. Right here, we'll just drag that bad boy over. And then we'll go to PC testing software. Bring over Crystal Disk Mark Portable, drag that over. And CPU-Z, for some reason, I have over there. And I'll drag that over just so I can look at the specs in the future. Even though I wrote them down on this index card, I can just verify. So we'll start with throwing VLC on here. And I will use this for any media playback, for videos, music. It's open source. And I will uninstall Microsoft's media player because I think it's crap. If a customer wants Microsoft Media Player put back on, all those apps are back in the Microsoft Store. You just put them on for free. So everything I do is reversible. But I don't want the support call of why a video won't play, because the solution is to play it through VLC. So we might as well just put VLC on, and we avoid ever getting that support call unless something's wrong with the video file they're trying to play. It might have a virus. If VLC won't play it, I'm telling you, don't make it play. It's not a problem with VLC. All right, we're going to run the optimizer on here and hit apply. We get a bunch of access denied here. That's just because it's trying to turn indexing off on files that are in use. That's normal and expected. And then when it's ready, it'll ask us to restart. It just takes a few seconds here. It makes a few other changes. You can learn more about that, of course, if you're interested. But it's all stuff you can do by hand. That's just way faster than I can never do it by hand. And that way, every single machine I do, laptop or mini PC or desktop, I cannot reiterate this, is always done the same. That's the gist of it. That makes support possible. So when a customer calls me for help, I don't have to start from nothing. Okay, that's the logic. It makes me more profitable. And I know what common support calls I get and how I can avoid those support calls by, before delivering the machine to the customer, I set up a certain configuration that avoids those common support calls. And clearly it's working, because nobody's calling me for support right now. And it's not because they don't like me, it's because they don't have any problems. Now that I've said that out loud, I'll probably have some voicemails. That's okay, that's what I do for a living. But I do try to take reasonable steps that are relatively effortless to avoid future problems. But I don't go out of my way where avoiding the future problems is more effort and time than just fixing whatever problems crop up. There is a balance in there, right? We can't avoid all issues, but we can take steps to avoid the common ones so they never happen. And a customer that never experiences any problems or avoids those support calls doesn't know they're avoiding the support calls because of what I did. They have no idea that because I did what I did, they're not going to be calling me for a problem that would require me to go and do what I just did. Doug understands. I know he understands. I know it's kind of a weird circular logic and it's frustrating, but it clearly works. Let's see what it says. Oh, Doug says, thanks for the kind words. Well, you know, it's not charity, just being honest, and you've earned it. He's definitely earned my respect for sure. Chris Garrett said sellers on eBay are selling older computers. Oh yeah, but that's eBay. I mean, they'll do that on Amazon too. Some real unscrupulous sellers offer up at Facebook Marketplace. Buy from a reputable seller. At least, unless you're a gambler, you know, and you fully understand what you're buying. I like the peace of mind that comes from buying from a reputable seller from Amazon, knowing that I can return that product within 30 days without a hassle and get a full refund. That, even if it's a few dollars more on Amazon than it is on eBay, that peace of mind is worth every nickel and dime. And again, because you're getting that reassurance, the likelihood of you needing to return it is reduced because they are going to have to pay for the return shipping. Oftentimes, the companies that have the best support are the companies you never or very rarely need to ask for support, because they put steps in place to avoid requiring you to call support to begin with, since it's going to cost them money to support you. But if they're just saying we'll support you and they never do, it's typically results in a much cheaper product and you might be stuck with it. So for a few extra dollars to have that peace of mind, that insurance, it's a bargain as far as I'm concerned. Also, you order something on eBay, who knows how long it's going to take for you to get it. I ordered on Amazon, I get a lot of stuff like the next day. Yesterday, when we were looking at the, just for example, we were looking at the GMK Tech G3 Plus. And I showed the AceMagic PC. And again, if you weren't here yesterday, I'll show you now. Let's go back to full screen over here. Let's bring up the browser. And let's go to Amazon. Oh, I've never been there before. I was waiting for it to... Ah, look, it offered it anyway. I'm so used to having it cached. I just type in AMA. But since I've never been there, I'm going to have to type it at least once. And I still didn't type it correctly. Amazon. Why is it not coming up? Relentless.com. All right, that's Amazon. MLT. MY, is that what that says? Yeah, Jeff Bezos wanted to call Amazon Relentless back in the day, and he's just always held on to it. Anyway, so we're at Amazon, and we type in AceMagic Mini PC, N100 Mini PC. So there's a $200 machine right here. I don't see a model number on it. It's a little older in the sense that it's only got Bluetooth 4.2, but at $199, there's a $70 off coupon right there, which to apply it, you have to sign into an Amazon account. That brings that price to $129. And then it says save 9% with promo code yada, yada, yada. Is my video covering that up? Let me get rid of my video here. Okay, so roughly that brings the price to somewhere around $111, $112, $113, somewhere between $111 and $113. Well, it's on sale with those two discounts. That's about as cheap of a computer as I would recommend for anybody. It is Windows 11 compatible. It comes with Windows 11 on it. It'll support multiple video out. It has multiple, well, here, I'll just show you. It's not very upgradable. It's a little tiny guy. Okay, so, you know, not like there's a room. Even if they wanted to add more ports, where would they put them? It's super tiny. So let's look at the other images here. N100. Got 12 gigs of low power DDR5. That's soldered onto the board. If you see LP DDR5, it's likely soldered on. You won't be upgrading that. Nor do you need to. Those days are over, man, I'm telling you. 256 gig M.2 NVMe drive. Well, it doesn't say NVMe, it says SSD. The Wi-Fi is just Wi-Fi 5. It's not 6, 6E, or 7. So, you know, you're going to save a little money. It supports 3 displays at the same time. 3. You won't be upgrading anything in this other than maybe the NVMe drive, and maybe not even that. Because this unit's so small, it's smaller than a standard 2280 NVMe. You'd have to use like a 2242. Anyway, if you look at the ports, it's got, let's see, 2 Ethernet ports, both gigabit. It's got the Kensington lock. It's got 3 HDMI outputs on the side here. So you can run 3 monitors simultaneously, side by side by side. And it does it effortlessly. It's no big deal. And it's only 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches and 1.7 inches tall. It's super tiny. This would be the bare minimum. If somebody said to me, Carrie, as a professional, all right, what is the least I could spend to get me into Windows 11? But something that I'm not going to be replacing next year, you know, something that I could use for a few years. That is as low as I'm going. That's it. Now, that's not the forever price. That's the price right now. Now, the good news is there's all these talks about the tariffs that America wants to put on China. But from my understanding, there will be an exception for things like solid-state drives, storage, electronic storage, computers, and smartphones. I think that's exempt. So while all that's up in the air right now, just be aware if you're in the United States, if the information I have is inaccurate and this information is subject to change tomorrow, as you've been watching the news, it's possible the price of these machines goes up before it comes down. You may be seeing the lowest prices. We have to wait and see what ends up happening politically. Since that's uncertain, if you're looking for something and you want to procrastinate that for next month, there's a good chance, based on what I'm seeing, and I hope I'm wrong, that these sell out and it's difficult to get any more in until all of this trade stuff gets worked out, which it will over time. Could happen while I'm talking right now, or it could happen tomorrow. It could happen in the fall. Who knows? So with all that uncertainty, if you know your Windows 10 computer is not Windows 11 ready, it's never going to be. You can pay the $30, let's say, when Microsoft offers the extension for updates to get 12 more months out of it. But then you're right back where you were. You're just postponing the inevitable. Just get yourself a machine for 112 bucks. If you don't like it, send it back to Amazon for a full refund. What's the problem? Is anybody here running a Windows 10 computer that cannot be upgraded to Windows 11? And if so, please tell me why. Because price is no longer an obstacle. The reason I even brought that AceMagician up, or AceMagic, is because I ordered one last night, but because I ordered it at like 1 o'clock in the morning, instead of before midnight, it's got 1-day delivery. So instead of having it today, I'll have it tomorrow. Because technically when I ordered it last night, it was actually this morning. And it said, okay, you get next day delivery, which puts us to Sunday. And the reason I ordered it is because so many of you have been so generous to support us here, and there's been so much interest in it. I thought I'll make an introduction and overview on that machine and compare it to the machine we did yesterday. Compare it to the... Come on, Gary, you got this. What did I review yesterday? The GMK Tech G3 Plus. So here's my thought. I'm not working with GMK Tech, and I'm not working with AceMagician. I'm just saying, let me show you these. I'm going to use the money that you guys contribute to make more content that you guys seem to be interested in. So for that reason, when I wasn't going to order the AceMagician, I thought, well, let's order it. And the reason I wasn't going to is by the time I get it and review it, that sale may be off. And if it goes back to $199, I'm not recommending it anymore because I think you could get something better than that for $199. But I don't know how long the sale is going to be on. I don't know how many they've got left in inventory. So this has to happen really quick. So I might end up doing that video tomorrow if I get the computer delivered early enough. If I don't, it'll be Tuesday. Once I do the product overview and introduction, the next video will put them side by side. DDR4 versus DDR5, removable RAM versus soldered on RAM, one Ethernet port at 2.5 gig or two Ethernet ports at 1 gig, two monitor support or 3 monitor support. There's no right or wrong here. It's like you have to decide for yourself which one of those things is more important because the price difference between them is about $15 or $20 right now. And that GMK Tech often goes $10 lower, which is why I wanted to show it. But by the time I got it, made the video, that $10 coupon went away. But it always comes back again, at least until inventory runs out. There's no right answer here. They both appear to be fantastic value for the dollar right now, and especially when they're on sale. It's just a question of which one you prefer based on your values. But regardless, you're right at just over $100 for a brand new machine, under warranty, fully returnable for any reason in the first 30 days from Amazon. So are you still running Windows 10? What's your plan in October? Or at least by the end of the year, what is your plan? What are you going to do? Just going to risk it? Hell with it. Who needs an identity? Roll the dice. Chris says he doesn't have next day because he lives in a rural area. Well, of course. However, as they advance more with like drone delivery and stuff, that might change. But you could get in the car and you can drive to Best Buy and find something at that price point. But for the most of us living in the city, most of us that are accustomed to Amazon deliveries and the speed with which they apply, the speed with which they arrive, you know what to expect when you order from Amazon. More of the same. That's all I'm trying to say. When you order from eBay, you order from AliExpress, who knows what your experience is going to be? It can often be quite different. There's a reliability to Amazon. And that's really the emphasis of what I'm trying to express. There's a reliability and a consistency that you know what to expect. If I eat at McDonald's here in Phoenix or I eat at McDonald's in rural Georgia, it tastes the same. I know what to expect. The prices may fluctuate a little bit here or there depending on the cost of living and rent. But if I go eat at Carrie's Burger Shop, it's probably not going to be like any place else. For better or for worse, it'll be a different experience. So at least I know when I order from Amazon, Amazon's got my back on returns. eBay does not. eBay is just, as far as I'm concerned, a big ripoff. They won't stand behind you as a seller. You get scammed as a seller and you pay your eBay fees, you pay your PayPal fees, you pay for the postage and the shipping, and then have the buyer scam you. And then you express and show all the evidence to eBay and they say, too bad. So I'd never have that problem with Amazon. So anyway, that's just, again, we all have different values. I probably throw stuff in the trash some of you might take out of the trash and go, this is a perfectly good, fine burger wrapper. Why would you throw that away? I don't know. I don't know why anybody would want to keep it. So you shop where you want to shop. I'm not being paid to make this video other than by my viewers who support me. And without them, this content would not be happening. I'm not here from Amazon. I'm not representing them. I am not representing AceMagic. I am representing, basically, I was going to say me. I'm actually representing my audience, my community, our community here. So if you're wondering how or why this channel is different from other tech YouTube channels, we're very consistent and reliable in this way because our community enables us to do this. So you know, even if you don't agree with me, I'm not getting my opinion based on some financial back end that I'm hiding from you. You guys see the members, you guys see the contributions. That's how we got here. Okay? For better or for worse, like it or not, it's just a different type of business model that I can sleep well at night with, okay? But it may not be for everybody. Some people really, really like commercials. Let me go back over to camera 2. Let's turn that off. Anyway, so that's supposed to arrive tomorrow, as I previously mentioned. And hopefully the sale will still be on when I make the video. Unlike what happened with the GMK Tech G3. But again, I know it's going to go on sale again. It's only a $10 coupon anyway. David Graham with a $2 super chat said, I feel loved. Well, you should. Take that. Thank you, David, for the super chat. Barry Klein says hello. Leslie Cavan says he's got Windows 10 Home and Windows 11 Pro. So my concern would just be somebody who's only got Windows 10 and their excuse is they cannot afford to replace the machine. That's what I'm looking for. Do we have any of those folks in that situation? Do we have anybody in that situation, is how I should phrase it, in our chat room? Trying to understand, what do we have to do to get you into Windows 11? Or at least get you out of Windows 10. Because you know, when October hits, Everybody's going to come out of the woodwork at the last minute. And things are going to go from, oh boy, I wish we would have done this when it was calm, to everything's sold out. What am I supposed to do? All the cheap stuff is gone. Yeah, well, it's because you waited till the last minute, just like everybody else. So I'm asking now for that reason. Mark Gaines said his Windows 10 PCs went to the recycling center because they weren't compatible. Well, you're ahead of that, right? Because Windows 10 is still supported for another 6 months, but okay. Scooter says if you can't run Windows 11, you can install Gentoo. Well, you can install a lot of stuff that's not Microsoft. Yeah, but if you have to understand, there's a reason why people are choosing Microsoft over any other operating system. And the barrier to entry, the technical knowledge required to run Windows, is second only to Apple. And Apple being more expensive, your second choice. Being able to have no technical knowledge or even any technical ability or inclination, it's pretty easy to get yourself aligned with Windows. The minute you move in outside, let's say, of the Apple not the atmosphere, but their, I can't think of the word. When you move out of the Apple world, when you move out of the Microsoft world, and you start moving into these highly specialized worlds of free, that assumes you have a technical interest. My customers universally have zero technical interest. Zero. The lawyers, the doctors, the accountants don't give a rat's behind. Any more than I care about knowing the doctor's job, the dentist's job, or the accountant's job. I have no interest in that. So imagine if I had to get them to install, configure, and find software that met their needs on another platform away from Apple and Microsoft. I would be in a literal hell. You talk about babysitting. Oh my gosh. And here's the thing. Most technical people don't need to be told about alternatives to Microsoft and Windows. They're the ones doing the talking. They're the ones making the recommendation. And so they already know this. The only people that benefit from that information, for the most part, are people that have that technical knowledge. And by default, if they have the technical knowledge, they already know what you're telling them. And those who don't care, because you might as well say, all you have to do is learn to read and write a different language. Do you know what the barrier to entry is? If you're going to say, you can live here for free, you just have to learn how to speak the language, write the language, and read the language on day one. Until then, you can't live here. I'll tell you what people are going to do. They're going to do what's ever easier. So, yes, there are other uses, lots and lots of other uses for older computers. But Microsoft and Apple, I'll tell you what, Apple's way worse than Microsoft. When Apple shuts something down, too bad for you. They don't care if you like it or not. They do it for your own good. Microsoft is also doing it for your own good, but they don't force it the way Apple does. So if you think Microsoft is bad, you need to go to Apple for a while, pay 3 times more, have the equipment last half the amount of time, and be told, too bad. People like that. Apple's a very profitable company. And it's usually non-technical people. All right? It's not a judgment. It's common sense. They're going to go with what's easier for them. What's the lower barrier to entry? They're not interested in the technology, the learning how to work it. They don't want to be nerds. In fact, for a lot of people, that's the last thing they want to be. Any more than a lot of nerds want to go out and play football. Not interested. There's always exceptions. I'm stereotyping, but I'm trying to make a point. The average computer owner is not technical and does not want to become technical. The average computer owner doesn't like change, especially once they reach about 25 years old. Their resistance to change grows like a disease as they get older. You don't have this problem, generally speaking, and there's always exceptions, with younger folks. This is a disease of age. Now, no one forces you to do anything. You don't want to do it? Don't do it. You don't want to, you feel like Microsoft's making you do something? They're not making you do anything. Windows 10 won't shut off and stop working any more than you could be running Windows 95 right now. Why don't you go and do that? At some point, you're going to realize you can't get anything to work anymore. The machine's too slow, and all you did was hold yourself back. So now to catch up, it's going to be harder and even more expensive. You've made it worse on yourself. You're welcome to do that, but Microsoft isn't forcing it. It's just strong suggestion to keep up with us, because we're not waiting. We're not coming back for you. You're going to have to catch up at some point or take a completely different route away from everybody else. And you're allowed to. But the vast majority of people, they choose Windows for a reason, and it doesn't have anything to do with you. That's all I'm saying. Seems like common sense, but I feel like it needs to be explained over and over and over again. If you're not part of the masses, if you consider that conformity, then don't conform. If you think the threats online aren't real, go out there without defenses. Go right ahead. Maybe you'll get lucky. I don't know. If you feel that you're a very technical person, the world is open to you for operating systems. Just because you like to eat something doesn't mean I'm going to like it. That doesn't mean you're wrong. And it doesn't mean anybody's force feeding it to you either. So make your choice. It's all up to you. Brian McMahon contributes €5. Thank you, Brian. Leslie Cavan says his Toshiba laptop needs an upgrade. Yeah, I don't even think Toshiba makes laptops for a while. Didn't they sell off to somebody? David Dix at Rock City PCs joining us. He said the word I was looking for is ecosystem. Yes, I suppose that was. Christian Lunder also said ecosystem. Thank you. I'll remember that next time, maybe. Sucks when you can't find a word I'm looking for. So again, I'm just looking to see if anybody is stuck with Windows 10 and they don't have a choice. That's what I'm looking for in our audience right now. I don't see anybody saying they're stuck with Windows 10 that has to use it. I see people voluntarily using it, but I don't see anybody saying they have to use it. They're stuck. Bajin Guy said, Carrie, I'm still waiting for the AceMagic or the AceMagic PC to be delivered today. Yeah, Bajin Guy ordered his yesterday, and that was kind of the impetus and the catalyst for me to go, you know, there does seem to be some genuine interest here. The sale is still on, so I don't know how long the sale will be on. For $100, let's just run it and see what happens. And yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think when you get the machine. Brian McMahon says, hello from Ireland. Carrie, I've been listening to you for at least 15 years. I love your independent voice. Always genuine and honest. Do you still use Acronis Trimage? Yeah, we're talking about it earlier in the show. Absolutely. Yeah, I started using Acronis 2007, 2006. And I've used it every every year since. I've got Acronis in my drawer that I pull out flash drives like my utilities, my Windows 11, blank drive for BIOSes and moving files. What else? They all slide in the back. Aha! We have an Acronis rescue disk there, and I think I have another one. Oh, that's a Windows 10 installer. What is on my finger? What does this say? Oh, this is a copy of my OBS configuration and my video assets, just in case of a disaster. These are called backups, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I am never in a position of panic because of an unexpected system problem. It's also why none of my customers in the history of my business have ever lost data, not once. Proactive versus reactive. But I've got another one of these SanDisks that's Acronis. One's a bootable Windows PE, and this one's like a Linux based. So in case I have problems with one, I'm ready to go on the other. Flash drives are so inexpensive today. They're so reliable. I just don't see why, you know. I was talking with somebody and I said, do you have a spare flash drive? I don't have any. How could you not have any? They're basically a nickel. I never need them. That's why you should get one in case you need it. It's not a big investment. Nah, I never need it. Okay, well, I guess we don't need it now then. Yeah. I'm a storage nut. I mean, I just love storage. So I have lots of flash drives and lots of solid state drives and lots of external drives and lots of, probably too many hard drives, but they're primarily used in NASs only. So anytime we have a NAS to review, I've got some drives here that I can throw in, because usually when they send a NAS for review, or if we buy one for review, they do not come with drives. That's a separate expense. So I always have spare drives set aside for that purpose. Scott says he bought his AceMagic mini PC last fall with 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 gig solid state drive. Windows 11 Pro. It was $149, and it's the little one, the one we were just looking at, little 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch, tiny little box. You like it? That's from Scott in the chat. Eric says he still uses Trimage 2017 as it's been faultless and a great buy. Oh, it's all well and good until you get drive controllers and such that it won't recognize without the right drivers, but, and as long as you don't need support or updates. Because I work in the industry and I'm working on all different kinds of hardware from older stuff to newer stuff, the issue with running older versions of software is a lack of compatibility to even recognize the new storage chipsets and even the main motherboard chipsets, where the communication because it's at a very low level that Acronis works at. The communication is critical, that it can communicate properly, or it won't see the storage drive. So for me, I always like having the latest version. I also like that Acronis now has new features that make it faster, more efficient, and help with securing the backup so that it won't be affected by any ransomware. They've added so much to it. It's not like the new versions are there for the heck of it. They really do add value with each version, in my opinion. So I just maintain a subscription to it and I don't worry about it. But hey, if it works for you, don't fix it if it ain't broke, man. Scott says he loves his little AceMagician computer. Yeah, great. And again, I'm just showing I don't have a bias here. I'm just telling it the way I see it. Better or for worse, this is how I feel about it. And under the price circumstance and the, I need something and I don't have a lot of money, what's the least amount I could spend for something that would be good enough for you to recommend to a customer? That's the question I'm answering with these videos. And people who demand more, well, they can pay more. That's fine. It's always been that way. But sometimes people think they're stuck when really it's within reach and they just weren't aware of it. So again, I want to raise attention to that. This is within reach of most people. And I don't know how much cheaper it's possibly going to get. I'm very concerned it's going to go the other way, depending on how the tariff thing works out. And when it works itself out, there could be a big gap in the middle where you wish you would have done it earlier. Remember, you know what I'm talking about when people go, oh, I should have bought that Microsoft stock back in 1981. Oh, I should have bought that Tesla stock back in, but maybe that's not a good example. I should have bought that Bitcoin. I shouldn't have thrown that laptop away that had 100,000 Bitcoins on it. Whoops. Yeah. Hindsight. This is your future hindsight today. Maybe. Bajan guy said, hey, both mini PCs just arrived. I'll be sending back the GMK tech. So I guess he ordered the GMK tech first as I was live. And while I was live, I then happened to mention at some point the AceMagician or AceMagic alternative. And then I guess Bajan guy decided, wait, I'd rather have that one. But it was too late to cancel his order. But returns are free and easy on Amazon, and he'll be able to send that back, get a full refund, with no cost of shipping. He doesn't even have to, put it back into the box it came in. He has to put it back in the product box, but not in the shipping box. He can take that to Kohl's, usually Kohl's or a local UPS store, Whole Foods, and just hand the unit in the box back to them. They give him a receipt. I strongly suggest you ask for a receipt, just in case there's any issues with the refund. You prove that you sent it. You'll get every penny back. Have you ever tried to return anything to Walmart? I hope you bring a sandwich. You're going to be a while. At least the ones around me. Patrick Manny said, I'm updating my AceMagician N95 AD03 right now. Right on. Scott said he had a minor issue with the AceMagic PC. After a few months, it wouldn't see the Wi-Fi card at boot, but then I rebooted and it's there. I opened it, I took it out, looked at it, put it back in. No problem since. Maybe it needed reseating. That's what it sounds like to me. Especially, you don't know how they're handled when they're being shipped. So if your delivery driver drop-kicked it to your front door from the curb, that'll loosen a chip. It's possible. Who knows the way these guys handle these packages? Have you seen them load luggage on a plane? Manufacturers do an amazingly good job overall at getting their machines surviving that abuse of travel from Asia to wherever you live, from boats and cars and planes to get it to you. Think about everything it went through. If that thing could talk, it'd probably be asking for some Bactine and Band-Aids. But every once in a while, one just pushes too far, and yeah, that's likely how that happened, just abuse and handling. Essentially, the errors don't really happen at the factories anymore since most of that's all automated and everything's done exactly the same by machine. It doesn't have a mood or an attitude, never gets tired. They're always the same. Now, some parts are still being done by hand at some factories, but overall, most things are just, it's faster and cheaper to let a machine do it. And it ends up with a more consistent quality at the end of the line. That's why I quickly jumped to somewhere in getting it delivered. It was dropped or whatever, mishandled. That's the other benefit of having like the little Ace Magician has that soldered on RAM. Oh, you can't upgrade the soldered on RAM. Well, it's only an N100. How much RAM do you think an N100 will see? How much RAM do you think you need at this price point? And furthermore, it'll never come loose. They can drop kick that computer to your front door, and I guarantee you, your RAM will never need to be reseated. That RAM is faster for the money. It's more reliable because it's soldered on. It's cheaper because you don't also have to buy the socket. The socket is a point of failure and expense. And the machine is smaller because it doesn't have to be as big to accommodate a full-size RAM or SO-DIMM module plus the socket. It's the future. In fact, the future is really what Apple does with their M chips, which is basically putting the RAM right onto the CPU. And more, we're working our way towards that, with the RAM being built onto the CPU and taking less and less from the motherboard. And at some point, all you're going to need is the chip. You'll have the whole system on a chip. We're getting there. And you can forget that whole upgrade stuff. You won't need it anymore. It's just a habit from the days of yesteryear when the computers were evolving so quickly it was hard to keep up. Now, yeah. If I take, and remind me of this, if I take the GMK Tech G3 or the AceMagic that we're supposed to get tomorrow, and I take a video project, I load Cyberlink Power Director on there and render out a video edit, do you think it's not going to work? And what is the performance difference of that render? How long will it take to render on the N100, say the budget line chips with 8 gigs of RAM, versus a Ryzen 9 with 96 gigs of RAM? Do you really think there's going to be that big of a difference? If so, you must be making some very big videos very often, in which case you must have the money to afford that. But don't let it fool you that there are things you won't be able to do with less RAM. It just might take a little bit longer, but I mean, it depends on what the resource requirement is of your task. And if you have tasks that are that resource intensive, why are you even looking at these little computers? They're not for you. I need a fast car that goes 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. Show me what you got, Hyundai, Kia. They don't build those cars. You need to go shop somewhere else. These cars are for the masses, not for specialized niches. You know why Ford Motor Company doesn't make any more sedans? They're not selling. They make a Mustang, a 2-door sedan, and everything else is SUVs and pickup trucks. That is the entire Ford lineup. But I wanted a 4-door sedan. Not new from Ford. You're at the wrong place. All right, chat room looks like it's really quieted down here. So I feel like, did I make my point? Is this convincing you that what I'm telling you is true? That everything you've seen is real? That we've been able to go live, unscripted, completely with no operating system and no drivers, being completely unprepared, and put everything back. It was, what, 90 minutes? Doing it the hard way. And if I take an image of this with Acronis, and I can download Acronis for free, and in trial mode, it's like 15 or 30 days, make an image backup to an external drive. I can then use Acronis to restore that backup for free at any point in the future. So if I back this up in the condition it's in right now, it takes about 10 minutes. And I don't have to sit here and stare at it. I just hit the go button, I walk away. Come back and check on it, it'll be done. At some point in the future, if I put another blank NVMe in there, and I want to do this whole thing again, I will have the option to simply boot off Acronis, even though I don't own it, and the backup was made during the trial. You have to pay if you want to make backups indefinitely or for your subscription period. but you never have to pay to restore with Acronis. So if I did that right now and we put another drive in there and I simply restored it, I get all the Windows updates, all the drivers, all the customization of Windows, the install, everything is done. Boom. It's about 8 or 10 minutes. I just plug it in. I plug in the drive that has the backup file on it. I say restore that back over here, completely erasing. I would choose to say completely erase what's on here and restore this back up as though we got in a DeLorean. We drove at 88 miles an hour. We just went back in time to whenever we made the backup and put it exactly in that condition, bit for bit, byte for byte. Acronis goes, no problem. 8-10 minutes later, it's done. And the computer is right back in the condition it's in right now. Why would I want to work any harder than that? Especially when it's free. I've told people, I said, hey, if I told you you could get any data recovered for free, would I have your ear? May I have your attention? You can do data recovery 100% guaranteed in minutes for free. You don't need to send the drive off to a data recovery specialist. You don't need to wait. You don't need to worry what the results are going to be. 100% guaranteed results every time in a fraction of the amount of time and completely for free. It's your solution to a virus. It's your solution to ransomware. It's your solution to a stolen computer. What if you could get all that back for free? It's called a backup. Software, you can get the trial version of Acronis. You don't have to use Acronis. There's lots of other software that does it. Our friend Doug Betts, he likes Macrium Reflect. There's lots of options out there. There's free options. And then you're bulletproof. Nobody can hurt you as far as all of these vulnerabilities you voluntarily allow yourself to have if you don't have backup copies. Or you can wait until it happens and pay out the nose and have all the stress. I just want you to know that's your choice. I didn't want you to say, I didn't know. You know now. Can't imagine any good reason why somebody just couldn't take 5 minutes out of their day, but they'll spend $300 and $400 and freak out for 2 weeks waiting for the results of a recovery. I don't get it. Mortant said, I guess he picked up one of those AceMagicians or AceMagic, whatever they're called. His total came out to $117.76 after the discounts and I guess sales tax. Hell of a deal, man. All right. So I am willing to demonstrate this on any mini PC, on any laptop, on any desktop, pre-built, or we build it ourselves. And you'll watch. It's always the same. That's my point. It's so easy and so straightforward. But the minute people start showing videos of a specialty process for a particular unit, I feel like they're often doing more harm than good, because unless you have that exact unit, it's going to leave something undone for anything else. The way I show it, it works across the board universally. That's why I said the whole thing about the Windows account, the online account versus local account. Everybody's freaking out about it when it's not even a thing. It's a thing for beta testers. If you're not a beta tester, it does not affect you. Yeah, but Kerry, I want to be ready. I want to be ready so when that update comes out, I know how to get around it. I've already shown you how to get around it. It's Rufus. It hasn't changed. It's not changing. Yeah, but I trust Microsoft. You're still getting the image from Microsoft. Yeah, but I let Microsoft make the USB. Who cares who makes the USB? Who cares? Well, that's just what I want. Okay, you're welcome to want that. But in the meantime, it's not a thing for the public. It's a thing for the public beta testers. It's not yet a thing. You're worried about something in the future that has no delivery date. You don't know. Hurts my head. I just want to know how to fix this problem when this problem's coming. You know what problem's more than likely coming? Something that requires you to restore your computer. Do you have a backup? Because if you're not making a backup, I don't want to hear you talk about online or offline accounts. You're so worried about you've got a crystal ball and you know what's coming. It has no effect on you today, but you don't have a backup that you should be making right now. Your choice. If you were my customer, you wouldn't be my customer. I'd say, you know what, guy or gal, I can't afford to put my business at risk with that kind of an attitude. That's not what I do. Re-prepare you today for what's happening today and what's going to happen tomorrow and maybe a week from now. We don't look into the future any further than that because we get less and less accurate at our predictions. So we do what we can to reasonably prepare. And even then, we're still going to get surprise calls for problems we never saw coming. There's nothing we could have done. It just happened. Hey, we had a power outage here. Hey, there's construction down the road and they cut the power lines and it created a spike and now 3 computers won't turn on anymore. Good, that keeps life interesting. Can you imagine? I'm going to sell you these 3 computers today. Why? Well, because 3 months from now, they're going to be doing construction. The construction they're doing, they're going to start digging up the ground. And I know when they dig up the ground, I got a hunch because they always break through the power lines. Oopsie, they always do something with the power lines. And then that leads to a support call. And then you're going to call me. And then we're going to have to deal with a problem. So we're just going to sell you these computers now that you don't need and probably never will need because I've already seen the future. You know, Carrie, I think we're going to go another direction with our IT support. We think you might be a little nutty. Okay, I might be on the internet too much. It's 2 very different worlds out there between the internet and the reality of running a business. And these kind of issues that people talk about that exist only in their heads don't happen in business. And I would love to see you guys talk about real problems that exist today and what we can do to resolve them. And that's what we're here to help you with. But if what you're trying to do is predict the problems that are coming and be ready for them before even confirming they're ever going to arrive or that they will affect you, it doesn't sound very sustainable mentally. I don't think I can live my life that way. It sounds like a great way to drive myself crazier than I already am, to be worried about things that are out of my control and are absolutely unpredictable with regards to how ready I can be for it. You know how you get ready for it? Backup. And then who cares? Just make a backup. Have I said that enough? It's the easiest solution, and it's universally the same across the board. No matter what happens, whatever decisions Microsoft makes in the future, whatever updates come out, whatever power lines get cut, whatever robberies or fire sprinkler systems activate and ruin all the equipment, you've got your backup. It is a universal one-size-fits-all solution. And most people online that we talk to, they're not doing it. What more can I do? Leslie Kevin says, I don't know how to make a backup yet in Windows 11 Pro. Well, what have you tried? Have you gone to YouTube and said, how do I make a backup in Windows 11 Pro? I mean, have you made any effort in that? Have you looked? I suspect if we went to YouTube right now, let's jump back over here for a second, just so I can see for my own eyes. And let's just bring up Google. We don't have to be at YouTube. We can just bring up Google. And let's say, how do I make a backup Windows 11? I wonder if we'll get any results. Oh, look, Microsoft has instructions with a video. That's how much effort it takes. And if you want to make a specific kind of a backup, like a system image, there's Acronis. Download Acronis for free. And we have our videos that walk you through the process. It's no different on Windows 11 than it is on Windows 10 or Windows 8 or Windows 7. It's all the same. I've been using Acronis for years. I don't use it differently today. There's features I use today, but yeah. So what if we want to do a system image? How do I make a backup image? To create a system image and navigate to the control panel, select backup and restore. Now this says Windows 7. I don't use Microsoft's built-in backup tools. They don't give me as much control as Acronis. But out of curiosity, if I just jump over here into settings, we'll just type in backup. Backup and sync, restore your files with file history, ransomware protection. Let's do that might be pictures. Image backup. Got nothing there. Microsoft, because I never used it, but Microsoft had that ability to offer you a system image on previous versions of Windows. But again, I prefer Acronis. And I'm trying to remember. One of the ways that we would use it is we would take a flash drive or a storage drive, because obviously your backup's got to go somewhere, right? And we would plug it in. And what Windows used to do, I don't know if it still does it. So let me just try this live. Plug in a flash drive here. And it used to pop up and say, what do you want to do with this flash drive? See, I'm not getting that pop-up anymore. Again, I don't use the Windows process, so if they've changed it or replaced it with something, I don't know what it is. So we could just search now. In fact, you can use things like Copilot, and if your computer supports that, but how to system image, how to image Windows 11. So there are two different kinds of, well, three different kinds of backup. How to create a system image in Windows 10 and 11. It wants me to log into Microsoft. Okay, this is from the Microsoft community. You go to System and Security. Okay, so start, settings, System and Security. What's that? System. Keep moving stuff. Not under storage, is it? Advanced storage options. Backup options. OneDrive, that's the synchronize, that's not imaging, that's synchronizing files. I don't see that option for imaging. Yeah, well, again, I don't use this process. I don't even know if it's still there. Free image software, Windows 11. So this pulls up photo images. I want backup images. Oh, here we go. EaseUS. They're a well-known brand here. Aomi is also very similar. They're backupper. There's Acronis, Macrium Reflex. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. And a simple search. should point you to whatever solution is most appealing or makes the most sense to you, right? For some of us, you might prefer one application over another because it's just more understandable, like it's more intuitive for you. Just do something, get that image done. You're never going to learn how to understand what the balance means until you get on the bicycle. You understand? You're not going to learn how to swim until you get in the water, and you're not going to understand how to back up until you make the attempt. And when and if you make that attempt, you run into some issues or questions, we're here to help you. But you must take the first step. Talking about taking the first step, we can all do that all day. Only until you make the first step where you realize, in many cases, you don't need to ask for any help. It becomes very obvious. But in case it doesn't, we're here to help you out. But you've got to take the first step. Mortot said it's called Windows Backup. If I just searching it wrong, I thought that would have come up. Go back. Now I'm just curious. I still wouldn't use it, but I mean, if you guys want something better than nothing, any built-in tools for Windows are very basic, and that's fine. That's all most people need. Windows Backup. Oh yeah, that came up. Exactly what we were looking for, I think. We can back up folders. We can back up apps. Settings, credentials. Okay, what happens when I hit backup? Oh, it wants us to sign into a Microsoft. Yeah, never mind. With the other options, you don't need the Microsoft account. So, but either way, as long as you make a backup, I don't care how you do it. Mortant said he uses his NAS. Yeah, Acronis over the network to the NAS is very set it and forget it kind of thing. It's very easy. You just configure it. You tell it to update the backup at whatever, once a week, once a month, every day, whatever you want. Have it run at 2 o'clock in the morning. Just leave the computer on. The NAS is left on. And you just look at the log files or have it email you. Acronis will say backup completed or it was a problem. Either way, respond accordingly. Most of the time, it just works. Sometimes after an update or a change to the system, and you may forget that it affects that, it'll send you watch the logs or you watch the alerts. Take care of it. Bill Stodd says backup and restore is the search. Is that any different? Or is that more of the same? Let's see. Backup and restore. Yeah, there's nothing called backup and restore. The little magnifying glass indicates this would be, hey, you want to search online, basically. And then we get online results here. Anything up here would be like reset this computer. These would be the apps installed on the computer. So again, even if we could do it through Windows, a system image that is, I still like the control that I have with Acronis, me personally. I know Doug Betts likes the control he has with Macrium Reflect, but that's not. Used to be free. I don't think it's free anymore. But then there's EaseUS and there's Aomi and there's a lot of other reputable freeware or very inexpensive software alternatives. A little less common, perhaps, when you're looking for help. But if it's just basic backup needs, if you have any questions or help, we can probably help you here. But we can't help you if you haven't even tried, because we don't know how to help you. There's nothing for us to do until you make the attempt. And likely when you make the attempt, you won't need any help. It'll all just, one thing leads to another naturally. In most cases, it'll lead you to the solution you want without asking for help. But if you do run into an issue, don't be shy. Come on in and let us know what the bump in the road is, and we can absolutely get you over that every single time. We just can't predict it. Mark Baggett said he uses Acronis, and it's a great backup tool. He backs up his drives once a week. All right, so before we go, let me shut this down. I guess we're done with today's little sample here. And let me go over here. Stream. Shut this down. So, and then I'm going to come back over here. And then once all the lights go out, I'll know it's off and I'll unplug it. And then I'm going to put something else up here real quick. I haven't fired this bad boy up in a while, and it's probably waiting on some updates, and it's always fun to look at it. So now that I've got some progress here in Studio C, I can actually reach it. What is it? Oh, you're going to see. It's another AceMagic. Better not show this tomorrow. Uh-oh, there she is. No, there's nothing to see. Move along. Nothing. I just have a little dust I have to clean up. I thought you forgot about this one.
No.
Otherwise, you'd be like, put that in the office upstairs.
I can't wait for the display.
You're kind of fun to look at.
Huh?
What? Look at this power brick. Keyboard and a mouse. We'll plug that in. This thing has 6 USB ports, 2 HDMI, 1 display port, 2 Ethernet, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It's out of control. It's got built-in laptop graphics chip in there. Oh, network. Need the network plugged in. Okay. Power.
I need.
Get the LCD display on the front. See the light on the palm of my hand? Shines down on the desk. It's a logo. Well, that booted up. I wonder how many updates we're missing on this bad boy.
Hold on.
No, I think I updated it a couple months ago. Maybe not. Oh, good. It put me back in 4K. Oh, that's not too bad. This is a 12th gen i9 12900H CPU with 32 gigs of RAM, not easily accessible. So we tried opening it up one day and it was really, really not user serviceable. So I didn't want to break it and I put it all back together before I dug in any deeper. The Windows is Windows 11 Home. Why didn't I upgrade it to Pro? Because it's a waste of time and money. There's nothing Windows 11 Pro Home isn't doing for us that Windows 11 Pro will. It's bizarre that people want to do that. It's really, really weird. All right, so Windows 11 Home is fine. Device Manager, what is the network, sorry, not the network, what's the video card that we have in here? Of course, we're going to have the built-in video from Intel, right? But we also have an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3070 in there as well. soldered onto the board. It's a mobile laptop gaming chip. So we actually have the Intel chip and the NVIDIA chip both in this. Just in case you hadn't seen this before. And see if we can make it look even more appealing. Turn off some studio lights here, see what it looks like. And let's do the close-up camera. So when you see all the light go across, that's a reflection. That right there is a reflection. This is the actual display here. And then when I put my hand, well, look down on the desk. See right there? I want to figure out which way I got to move this. AceMagic. You know what I'm saying? And you can customize this front. Then you get all the RGB. How about them apples? Such a show off. This thing is so cool though. Really it is. It's expensive, but you know, we went from showing the cheapest computer that AceMagic makes to the most expensive one they make. Literally. There you go. This is about the highest price that they sell a computer at. Let's go back over here. Is that a router or a space station? We do have a TP-Link router that looks kind of like this. That's not easily accessible for me to grab it. They do pair together really well though. Wi-Fi 7. It's about a $400 router from TP-Link. Ghostly Lurker says, holy cow. Yeah, holy cow. It's wild, isn't it? It's a shame I don't use it more, to be honest. Six Maxwell 99 says, type and search control panel. Oh, to go to find the Windows backup option. Select backup and restore. Oh, the control panel, not the system interface. I gotcha. And then it still uses the Windows 7 option app for creating a system image. Is that what they did? They left it in the control panel and they didn't move it over to settings. Let's go over here. And we'll go down here, we'll type in control panel. We'll type, let's see, backup and restore. Oh, I see, it says Windows 7 on it, even though we're in Windows 11. I've never noticed that before. Click on that and create a system image. Okay, well there you go, thank you for that. That was very helpful. And you just need to put it on an external drive, right? The external drive only has to be as big as the amount of data, not as big as the size of the drive. So this computer, for example, when we look at the PC and we look at how much space we're using, which is the blue line, versus the total space of the drive, this drive is a 1 terabyte drive, right? It says it's 900 and something gigs. So if we look over here at capacity, you'll see it's a little over. Get that 10th digit right here that gets us into the terabytes. So we're only using 80 gigs or 74.2 gigs. So as long as our backup device can hold at least 74.2 gigs, and you don't have to erase it. Like if I plug in one of my flash drives that already has data on it, but it has at least 74.2 gigs free, I can put the system image on there as well, or I can choose to just keep the system image alone by itself, which, you know, for me being organized and OCD is just a preference I have to not, once again, don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So I still have the lights out so you can really get the effect of the mini PC here. It's pretty neat. And yeah, there's a little RGB there, and then up here, we can change the screen to several different settings. You can watch my review on this. The M1A is what they called it. M1A? Yeah, I think so. The StarShip. And then as far as like backups go, let me grab a blank flash drive and I'll show you how this works. It only takes a couple minutes. And hopefully you'll never need it, okay? To have it and not need it is the best scenario you can be prepared for. But to need it and not have it, well, that's a different problem entirely. And if you have several computers that you need to back up, a 1 terabyte flash drive, if they're all 80 gigs apiece, will hold 10 of them, and you'd still be under 800 gigs of 1,000 gigs available. And these flash drives are faster than your internal SATA drive, even if it's solid state. This is still faster. Smaller. Yeah. People are like, oh, I don't want to throw this stuff away. It's still good. It isn't good. Not anymore. Anyway, I just plugged that back into the USB port back here. And let's go back over to camera 2. And let me go full screen on there. And I'll just, so we're still installing. And we don't have to wait for that to finish. We can start backing up right now. Control panel. Backup Windows. Here we go, Windows 7. I don't know why it says Windows 7 on it. It's so confusing, but yeah. Create a system image on a hard drive. It sees drive D, that's the 1 terabyte drive. You could make DVDs with it if you're really like torture and paper cuts. This is a nice, slow, painful way to do it. Or over a network connection or location, which could be a drive plugged into another computer or another computer's shared folder or a network attached storage device, or even a memory card plugged into your printer that's shared online. These are all possibilities. I'm going to do a local disk, and it says, well, what do you want? You want the location of the backup to be drive D? Yes. The following will be backed up: your system partition, your Windows partition, and your recovery partition. Sounds good. Do it. Now, while it's doing this, we're still downloading updates. Okay? We can still browse the web and we don't have to stop using the computer. It multitasks. It'll do numerous things without problem. Or if you like to do one thing at a time, let this finish and reboot. And then when you're all done and you like the way everything is, then make your backup. But this won't take very long. 80 gigs over USB 3.2 flash drive isn't going to take very long at all. So yeah, thank you for that. Who did that tip come from? I think that's what others were trying to tell me. They just didn't phrase it in a way that I was comprehending. So there you go. I learned something new. That is something I used to know. So it's a reminder, I guess. I'm actually surprised that they've kept that in there with the Windows 7 title under it. But there it is. Oh, it's the AceMagic M2A, not the M1A. They have an M1, an M2, and an M3. So this is the M3A. And Mara has added the video review of this unit in our video notes if you missed this. This is pretty cool. Bill Stodd said they hid it from everybody. Well, I mean, that's kind of a shame, but I do know the notifications do pop up and say, hey, do you want to make a backup? And I always turn notifications off. And I do my own backups my way, not Microsoft's way. But there you go. It answers a question, and that's really what it's about. Helping each other out, right? You know, I'm not going to force anybody to do things my way. But if I'm getting paid to do the job and I'm held liable for it, that's a different story. Let me turn the lights back up here. And again, any final questions? We're going to wrap it up for today. I feel like we got a lot done, considering I didn't really have any agenda other than to just wipe out any mini PC of your choice without any prep. and show you how easy it is to restore and put back without a backup, starting from scratch and finding our drivers. Super easy, barely an inconvenience, proven live on camera with no edits. And you guys picked the mini PC, not me. Okay, that was the whole point. Anything additional about backups or other information, that's just icing on the cake. Phil Stott says, don't be surprised if it wants you to create a boot CD. That ain't gonna happen. I don't know where the DVD player is on this, or the CD player. If we really wanted one though, I do have external CD drives and DVD drive. Well, it's really just a CD drive. No, it's a DVD drive that plugs into the USB port. They sell them on Amazon for like 25 bucks. And it'll read and write CDs and DVDs, and I can boot from it. And if I really want to go slow and do it the old way that takes forever, I have external USB DVD drives if it's required. But I think there's a way to do it through USB, which is much faster, much easier, much more convenient. But what do I know? I didn't even know that feature was still on there. So again, don't worry about the restore. Just make the backup, okay? We can't help you until you take the first step. I cannot emphasize that enough. Once you've got the backup, should you need to restore it, come and ask for help. How do I restore this? See, you've already taken the first step. We already understand now how you made the backup, when you made the backup, and what you're going to need to do to restore that based on how you tell us you backed it up. Did you back it up with EaseUS? Did you back it up with Windows? We don't know that. You have to do that. But when you need help on how to restore it, you don't need to know how to restore it today. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just get the backup made. And if, and only if, you need to restore that backup and you don't know how, from that point, we can help you very easily. We just can't help you lift up your foot and take that step. You can talk about taking the first step. It doesn't matter. It's noise. It's until you actually do it, then the help can continue. Until then, we're just going around in circles talking about what we're going to do and nothing's ever getting done. There's no further we can go. So set your expectations accordingly. Patrick Manny said he used to use Norton Ghost back in the day. When I used it, it wasn't made by a company called Norton. It was Ghost. Ghost stood for General Hardware Oriented Software Transfer. And Symantec bought them. Norton bought them. Oh man, those were good times. Why do I remember all that crap? But I can't think of the word ecosystem. Oh man. Let's go back over here and just see how we're progressing on this backup. It shouldn't take very long. So our Windows updates have finished and it wants to restart, but in doing so, it would interrupt our backup, which is a reason why you might want to do one before the other. But you don't have to. We could say don't restart right now. That way the backup can continue uninterrupted. We wait for it to finish, and then we can restart. Remember, we're the boss. Computer works for us. I can't imagine it's going to take much longer, but I'll tell you what, let me put camera 1 in the corner. We'll keep an eye on it here, just out of curiosity, how long it takes just to go to a little flash drive and why it's free. It doesn't take very long, and you guys have run out of excuses now. Now you're just doing it on purpose. And I'm going to feel less empathy when you've been told and you just couldn't find the time to do it. You no longer have any excuse. So now when it happens and you're not ready because you couldn't be bothered, that's on you, not on us anymore. Not much we can do to help you in that scenario because you didn't do anything to prepare for it, and now there's, unless one of us has a magic wand or can go back in time, there's going to be very little we can do. But if you at least make the backup and you don't know how to restore it, once again, we can help you with that. What else? Is that it? Check the phone. I got a notice from Amazon that my Ace Magician has shipped. Be here tomorrow. William Denton sent an Amazon gift card earlier for $50. He says, have a great weekend. I enjoy your broadcast this week, and I happily just stumbled across today's. Sorry, I just saw that, William. Thank you so much for your contribution. And thanks again yesterday to Frankie B. and Mark Leibowitz, as well as Steve Dodd, who had a very nice email he sent, and our friend Mark Gaines, of course, with his PayPal contribution yesterday. And to all our super chats that happened today, I want to shout out a thank you while we're here waiting for this to finish. Thank you again to the folks who make these videos possible for me to make them. And that includes Jose Lopez with a $1 super chat, David Graham with a $2 super chat. Our friend Barry Klein renewed his membership, now a member for 35 months. That is so awesome. Thank you, Barry. Our friend Ian Gooch out there in London with a £10 super chat. Josiah Guernsey renewed his membership, now a member for 32 months. Of course, our good friend Buster out there in Scotland with his £10 super chat and other contributions he's given to help underwrite these videos is the best way to put it. But each and every one of you in the way that you contribute, being part of the community, being a member or super chats, or just hanging out and being cool, well, we appreciate each and every one of you, because without you, who am I making these videos for? Without you, how are we getting these expenses covered? Without you, where is the community for other people to keep coming back besides my lovely personality? All right, one at a time. Thanks to Mara, of course, for all the work she does in the background. There's a lot of administrative work. She prepped today's video thumbnail quickly. She didn't like it. She's like, you're not giving me enough time. I think it's great. What do you think? Should she change it? She puts all the video notes, all the updates, like adding the link for the M2A here, as well as anything else that came up in conversation. The links are all added in the video notes. Be sure and check out the video notes for all of those links so you're not having to search for it. Just click, it'll take you right to the exact right place. Looks like the backup is almost done. It's a little after 4 o'clock here in Phoenix, Arizona, Saturday, April 12th, 2025. A shout out to our friends at SCD Keys. Again, if you look under the video notes, you're going to find a link there. Maybe I need to make a video and show you guys how to download and install Microsoft Office legitimately, legally. Getting your activation code, plugging it in. You want me to show you how to do that? I think you already know how to do it with Windows 10 and 11, right? If we go over to SCD Keys, since I'm just biding my time waiting for the backup, I can show you that. Turn off camera 1 for a second. Let's go full screen on camera 2, which is the machine here. And let's just open up the browser. What is this? System repair disk can be used to boot your computer. Oh, it's a rescue disk. So just as we were starting, the backup is now finished. It's saying, hey, if you want to make a rescue disk, you can do that now. Probably a good idea to do that, but just to move things along today. That backup is done. Remember, we were backing up 75 gigs of data. Is that about right? And it made a system image of what size? Should be compressed. Tells me nothing. Oh, somehow protected. Interesting. Okay, so we've got a backup. That's the important thing. We can get through the details of restoring and other things like that in other videos. Otherwise, I'll be here for the next several hours. Not that I'm opposed to it, but there are other things to be done. And I just want to go to SCD keys right quick here. If you go to my YouTube channel and we go Carry Holzman, and you click on any of my videos, like here's today's video live. I'm going to create a little terror loop. Scroll down, and here it says more. That's the video notes I keep referring to. These are the links I keep talking about. Right here, Windows 10, Windows 11. So let's say Office 2016, which is the cheapest version of Office you can buy right now. You don't need a Microsoft account to activate it. It expires the same time Windows 10 does, but that just means you're not going to get any more updates for it. It shows it's $38.14, but if you add it to the cart or you click buy it now, then, and by the way, this is just the cheapest version. There's Office 2019 and Office 2021 and Office 365, which you're going to need a Microsoft account to activate. But like 2016, and this is for Windows only. This is not a Mac version of Office. That's what they're warning you about down here. And you hit the buy it, you're going to have to log in. So you create a free account. And you see this 20% discount? That's for suckers. You guys get 30%. So after you log in, you're going to go back to this main screen again, click to buy this, and then it'll say if you have a coupon code, enter it, put in the word carry. It's going to take 30% off. So 30% off of $38.14 is about $11, maybe $12. So that's going to bring that price down to about 26 bucks. You're going to get an email, and it's going to walk you through where you download the Office, and it's going to come from Microsoft. It's not a questionable site. And they have online support 24/7 through a chat window if you need it. If you still run into problems, you reach out to us personally. So let me go back to full screen here for a second. Let's go Control F. Okay. You can reach out to us personally for any questions, regardless of the subject matter here. If we can answer them, we're happy to. And the email address is showcasecreate@gmail.com. We also have our previously mentioned message boards. So it's another way to contact the entire community and us at the same time. And of course, we always prioritize any communication with our members, no differently than if a real life customer contacted me. Because our members, we need them. We have to have them. And I will do whatever I can to help our members within my ability and at a high priority. For the free viewers, you are also, I don't want you to feel any less welcome, but as a member, you get priority. As a free viewer, if you have suggestions for videos, if you have an issue, if you buy a mini PC and you want to share your experience just with us privately, if you want to talk about any private business, that's all handled in email. That email address right there. Okay? So I don't want to discourage people from reaching out. But if you are a member, you are always prioritized. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you're having a great Saturday. And I guess I can restart this, right? Over here. Let's close that. Start. And while that's restarting, once the show is over, I can unplug this, go put it back on the shelf, or it can go collect some more dust. This is going to come up in other projects, which is why I'm holding on to it. This is all done. I guess I can just leave that drive in there. I don't see any reason to put the original back in there. I mean, it didn't come with this one anyway. At some point, I upgraded that. They're all great machines, and they're more affordable now than ever. And we'd love to hear any actual experience you have and any actual issues that you have now, if you'd like to know or ask for assistance on how to get over those obstacles. Myself and the community are always happy to help. Thank you so much for hanging out. We look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. Until next time, bye for now.